that one forward, finds Carter Lowe through the neutral zone. Lowe waits, takes the shot, kicks aside, rebound, scores! Cole Bodwin!
Welcome to the TD Civic Center in Brantford as we are getting ready for a heavyweight tilt this afternoon between the Barrie Colts and the Brantford Bulldogs. I'm Mike Poirier, joined us alongside Josh McCann. Gene Pryor has also made the trek as it was a snowy drive down here to Brantford, the Telephone City, but we managed. There's a few whiteouts along the way.
Yeah, we survived. That's one way to put it. Gene had a little windshield washer issues, but
We saved the day.
we saved the day. Yeah, I did a lot.
You're a great
was the
passenger.
hero.
You're a great navigator, and we made it here.
Thank you. I sat in the back seat and I drank my coffee and I led the charge.
Excellent. And for this afternoon, this is a game a lot of junior hockey fans excited about because these are the top two teams right now in the Eastern Conference standings. The Brantford Bulldogs right now in that number 1 seed, 3 points up on the Barrie Colts. They do have a game in hand, so this is a really crucial game for the Barrie Colts if, in fact, they're going to close the gap on the top seed in the East.
Yeah, these three games are going to be huge for the Barrie Colts against the Bulldogs, as well as the two more they have against the Ottawa 67s, because not only do both those teams have a game in hand on the Barrie Colts to extend their lead, but looking into the numbers, the Barrie Colts do have the hardest schedule remaining between the three teams. Brantford has a strength of schedule of 509, Ottawa's at 512, and then Barrie's at 556. So the road's going to be a bit tough for the Barrie Colts, but if they continue to play the way they've been playing as of late, they're going to have a good shot in all of these games.
Now, the Barrie Colts coming off that 2-0 win on home ice yesterday against the Brampton Steelheads, a game where they dominated the first period, outshot the Steelheads 20-5, but after that, they kind of tailed off in the second and third periods. We're going to talk with Dylan Smoskowitz in a few minutes here, but it really felt as though they took their foot off the gas and just wanted to coast the rest of the game last night.
Yeah, it felt like the first 25 minutes, they really dominated the Brampton Steelheads in that game. And I don't know, maybe the mindset kicked in for them. Like, this is a Brampton team that's really struggled since the deadline. They don't have much going for them right now, and they're not really competing. And we kind of saw it similar 2 weeks ago when the Colts and Steelheads faced off, but Barrie was able to add a couple more goals. But last night, Zach Bowen did a pretty solid job in net. And so in those two periods where Barrie kind of coasted their way into the finish line, that led to that 2-0 score. Because after the first period, it looked like it could have ended up being pretty ugly, but only ends up 2-0.
Now, you also have to wonder, too, with last night's game, were some of the players starting to think ahead to today, just because of how big this game is on the schedule? Even in the warm-up, we noticed that Ben Hrebeck, who's getting the start, he was dialed in.
I don't think he let a single puck in.
No, and there was one save where it looked like Cole Bodwin was casually just going to put it into the open net, and Hrebeck just batted it with his paddle.
Yeah, Hemming took the initial shot, and Hrebeck made the save on one side of the net, and then he comes all the way across to make the save. It's not often you talk about a warm-up save, but yeah, the Barrie Colts definitely looked like they were in the right mindset. Kayshawn Aitchison was stealing pucks from Ben Danford at the red line, and Luke Govro was meeting up with a couple Bulldogs there. I think some of it was friendly conversations with former U16 teammates, but yeah, for the most part, the Barrie Colts pretty motivated going into this game. And as much as Dylan Smoskowitz wants to focus on the current day and winning the day, I'm sure it's only natural for these players, when they're playing the Brampton Steelheads last night, to be thinking about today's game.
Now, the Barrie Colts, they did make the trek down to Brantford after last night's game, so they were able to avoid the weather. No delays on the drive here, so they stayed nearby the Brantford Civic Center. So they're ready to go here. They've got their legs ready, so no bus legs to deal with. But also, for this, Colts team, this is the start of a 4-game road trip. So they won't be back at the Sadlin Arena now for 2 weeks. You got the Michigan trip next weekend, and then a trip to Brampton before returning home. So this is a different mindset here for the Barrie Colts. You have to be prepared for these road games, and it all starts here this afternoon.
Yeah, it's two huge games coming up against Brantford and Flint, obviously, and Barrie Colts, they're 1-0 against Flint, they're 1-0 against Brantford. So both those teams are going to be looking to get into the win column against them as well. And then, of course, Saginaw, I mean, they're near the bottom of the standings, but look at 2 days ago, they won 4-1 over the Peterborough Pete. So if you don't play your best against the Saginaw Spirit, they can definitely beat you. They have a pretty solid offense. And then, of course, the Brampton Steelheads, they'll be looking for revenge. These last couple games have been tough against the Barrie Colts, and they're kind of getting to that point in the losing streak where it feels like they're maybe due for a win. So if they don't have that win by then, they may be able to luck themselves into a win. Like you mentioned, no bus legs for the Barrie Colts today, and as well, they were in the area, so they didn't have to deal with traffic. They were able to get here on time. They were able to go through their regular pregame routine, able to get video in, unlike on Thursday against Niagara.
And you have to wonder, too, because the Barrie Colts came down last night. That's why today's game wasn't postponed. I know the other 2 o'clock games around the Ontario Hockey League are getting underway, except for the Oshawa game at 6 o'clock. That's the only game being postponed. But you're also catching this Brantford Bulldogs team who are missing a couple of key players from their lineup. Not dressed tonight. Adam Bannock, that's a big player out of the lineup. Also Ryder Bolton, he's out. Parker Holmes missing time. And also Luca Testa. So this is a Bulldogs team that, yes, they went all out at the trade deadline, brought in all these star players, but injuries have been a factor for this Bulldogs team.
Yeah, injuries and chemistry is going to be an interesting to watch for you. Look at the London Knights last season. I mean, they were by far the best team in the OHL, but they drafted most of their players. Then they bring in guys like Cam Allen to support them. Whereas here in Brantford, they've added a lot of these players via trades this season. So it'll be interesting to see how they can all work together. Because at the end of the night, there's only one puck, and they're all going to have to work together on that. And like you mentioned about the game being potentially canceled, Barrie Colts as the road team, they're the team that gets to decide that, whether they can make it down or not. Maybe a bit of strategy coming down last night and thinking, this is when we want to catch the Brantford Bulldogs. We're riding high. We're on an 8-game win streak right now, long point streak as well. And for Brantford, they haven't played their best this week. A couple overtime losses to Niagara and North Bay, and then they squeaked one out as well against the Sudbury Wolves on Thursday.
Yeah, because they just did the Northern Ontario swings. They were up in North Bay Thursday night and then Sudbury Friday. So it's not an easy trek when you go up to Northern Ontario, and you touched on it. A loss in North Bay, and then barely getting that win in overtime against the Sudbury Wolves. So things haven't been as smooth of late for this Brantford Bulldogs team, but we'll see what's in store here this afternoon as they had last night off. Well, the Barrie Colts, of course, in action. So we still have about 10 minutes to go until puck drop here at the TD Civic Center. So while we have a moment, let's catch up with Barrie Colts head coach Dylan Smoskowitz with our Coach's Corner presented by Mariposa School of Skating. Catching up with Barrie Colts head coach Dylan Smoskowitz. 2 heavyweights going head-to-head here this afternoon in Brantford. The Bulldogs right now 3 points up on the Colts at the top of the Eastern Conference standings. I guess this is a game where if you're not excited for it, why are you here, basically?
Yeah, it's the standings alone kind of get guys up for this game. So as a coach, maybe I got to give a couple more pregame speeches for some other games. Tonight you don't need to. Tonight the guys know what's at stake. The guys are excited for this game. They hear a lot of talk about Brantford. They're been the talk of the league pretty much the entire season. So the guys are very self-motivated for this one.
And this is a group that has now won or has 12 points in a row. Big win last night, 2-0 over Brampton. Although it seemed like the first period you guys were coming out strong, but second and third, did they let up a little bit?
Yeah, if you talk to any of our guys, they won't be happy with the effort from last night. Again, like you said, I thought the first was great, and then you get 2 goals and you outshoot them by a wide margin, and maybe guys start to think they can either take the foot off the gas or they start to think they can play a different kind of game. But why we were so successful wasn't because we were better or Brampton was worse. It was just because of how hard we played. And as soon as you don't play that hard, anyone in this league is going to win. It's a good league. So you can't take any opponent lightly. Again, we learned from it. We spoke about it after the game. We spoke about it again this morning. Hopefully to show a better rebound game today.
And for most of the year, health has not been an issue for this team, but no McCormick, no Carter Lowe. This is almost a next man up mentality coming to today's game.
24 strong. We love our 24. We don't have 20 guys. We don't have 10 guys. We have 24 guys who, if we put them in the lineup, we believe we can beat anyone in this league. So it's 2 new guys coming in today. We're excited to watch them, and Eddie and the governor, and have fun playing.
And the last time we were here, it was a pretty physical game. I know Brantford, you've got Ryder Bolton and whatnot. So are you expecting more of that here this afternoon? 2 physical teams going toe-to-toe here?
I think any time there's a build-up before the game, or any time you got 2 teams who are still kind of going for a common goal and finishing at the top of the standings, or maybe even winning a division, there's going to be some more firepower to that game. So physicality is part of our game. So whether we're playing a last place team or first place team, we want to be the more physical team on the ice. We're not going to change much. I can't speak for them and what they're going to throw at us today, but we're going to play Barrie Colts hockey and see what happens.
So that was Barrie Colts head coach Dylan Smoskowitz with the Coach's Corner presented by Mariposa School of Skating. And I do like that mention. We were talking about how there's no Carter Lowe this afternoon or Jonah McCormick, but he says he loves all 24 guys. And you need that mentality, because if you are going to have guys out, it's that next man up. And we're seeing that with Govro and Edgar both being brought into the lineup.
Yeah, it's one of the best things about the way the Barrie Colts were able to handle that trade deadline. It was only draft picks out for the most part. Obviously, you lose Bodie Stewart, Sam Black, and Alex Assadorian, but they were able to keep a lot of their young talent and a lot of guys that can play in some depth roles here for the Barrie Colts. Ethan Armstrong, he hasn't played since January 3rd, but that's a guy that you can put into the lineup and he can work right in on any pairing you need him to. And same thing for Teague Fader, who I thought looked pretty good last week when Justin Hanser was out of the lineup. And then, of course, you got all these forwards. Edgar and Gopher will come in from McCormick and Carter Lowe today, but it doesn't really feel like there's too huge of a difference in that swap. It feels like when guys are coming out, guys are coming in, you're still getting a pretty good player coming into the lineups.
And we've seen Eamon Edgar. He's fit in quite nicely, especially being put on that first power play unit. That was when Joe Salandra was out. So for this game, Salandra, he's in. So I don't think we'll see Edgar playing on that top power play unit. But you have that option there. If you do get a string of power play opportunities, why not throw out Eamon Edgar? Because you know what he's capable of playing down low.
Yeah, it gives you another guy on a Barrie Colts power play that already has 10 players doing a really good job. Both of those units. I think Dylan Smosquit said in Gene's article the other day that Dennis Martindale likes to say, we don't have power play 1 and power play 2. We have power play and power play because of all the talent the Barrie Colts have made work on this power play so far this season. And then when you add guys like Eamon Eckert that aren't on the power play usually, that gives you even more depth when some of these guys come out of the lineup. Yeah, Eamon Eckert isn't going to come in and replace a Cole Baudouin or an Emil Hemming on that top line. But if they ever have to miss a game, he can slide right into that top power play unit.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating just to see how the Barrie Colts measure up against this Brantford Bulldogs team because they were one of the busier teams on the trade front throughout the regular season because the last time the Colts were here back on October 29th, it was basically the next day that Brantford acquired both Ben Danford and Zachary Sandu from the Oshawa Generals, and they've just been adding players since. You look at Charlie Paquette, Jet Luchenko, Gabriel Frasca. This is a team that their aspirations is a Memorial Cup championship, and this roster is going to be a big test here to see how do the Barrie Colts measure up to this Brantford Bulldogs team.
Yeah, and that Danford trade, I mean, it was basically on the car ride home that night that they kind of started coming out that there was the potential that deal could happen. It didn't take long after the Barrie Colts beat Brantford that they decided to make an upgrade to a couple players on the back end. And for Brantford, I mean, they made a big decision last season. They had Nick Lardis, Merrick Van Acker, Jake O'Brien. They had a ton of talent last season. And the Hymans could have said, hey, we're buying last year and gone on a good run. But they decided, you know what? London's at the top. We're not going to try and challenge. We're going to wait till next season. And then they've turned all these players, all these picks into all this talent. And as well, Caleb Malhotra coming over. That was a guy that we didn't think was going to play in the OHL before the NCAA, OHL, or CHL rules came into place. And unfortunately for the Kingston Frontenacs, they couldn't just sit around and wait for that vote to happen. So they have to ship him out to the Brantford Bulldogs to get that draft pick back. And unfortunately for Kingston, they lost out on a really quality player.
Now, we don't have the spotlight here. I left it back in Barrie, so
I'm gone.
Apologies for the darkness here on the screen. But the thing that really stands out to me is how Caleb Malhotra is the leading scorer right now on this Brantford Bulldogs team. Coming in 22 goals, 38 assists, good for 60 points, which leads all rookies. And for Malhotra, expected to maybe be a top 10 draft pick come June. So, you touch on just his young talent and coming over from Kingston, but Malhotra has been a huge boost for this Brantford Bulldogs team, and I think we're only scratching the surface with his talent.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. And I mean, he could have easily came in this season and been a 40 or 50 point guy for the Bulldogs, and they probably would have taken that. But at the end of the day, he's come in, he's been amazing, and he's immediately become one of the best players in the OHL this season. He's done a fantastic job for this Bulldogs team, and it just added to their depth into the season.
And also, you can't forget a player like Merrick Van Acker, number 1 in goals. He has 33 goals on the season. So you've got Malhotra. Okay, he's one of the top scorers. Now you got Van Acker. So for the Barrie Colts defense, there's plenty of players up front that you got to keep a close eye on.
Yeah, you're not even mentioning Jake O'Brien, who has led all OHLers in points in the calendar year of 2025. They're so deep. That's just scratching the surface of the talent that this Bulldogs team has. We haven't even mentioned Jet Luchenko, Charlie Paquette, and all these other guys. I mean, Cooper Dennis is a guy that doesn't get too much love around the league as a top guy because of all these players. He's silently in the 20s in the goal scoring position.
Yeah, so it's this is a very deep Brantford Bulldogs team. And then you look at Gabriel Frascutz, the former captain of the Erie Otters. He's centering the third line.
They have 5 former captains on their team. 4 former, and now, of course, Jake O'Brien, the third captain. There's so much leadership on the Brantford Bulldogs. So much leadership, so much talent. All it's going to come down to for them in the playoffs is chemistry. Can this team work together? Or is there too many talking heads in the room? Because 5 captains, that sounds great, but are there too many guys in that room trying to be the leader? It's going to be interesting to see down the stretch.
So it may be a measuring stick for the Barrie Colts here this afternoon, but this is also a big moment for the Brantford Bulldogs, playing another top contender in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, Brantford, their last game against the top team in the conference. Yes, it was during the World Junior break. If they did still have Merrick Van Acker and Jake O'Brien, they played Ottawa. They lost that game 6-0. They only had 18 shots. So I know it's not Ottawa tonight for them, but they're definitely going to want to prove themselves here today.
So this is a huge matchup, the game of the day, basically, for the Ontario Hockey League. The players, they're right now on the ice, so they're going to get ready for the national anthem. So we're going to take a quick break. But when we return, we will have the first period of play from TD Civic Center in Brantford. So we are just about ready to go for the first period of play here between the Barrie Colts and the Brantford Bulldogs. While we have a moment, let's take a look at our starting goaltenders presented by Craighurst Crossings by Georgian Communities. New homes, minutes from North Barrie, where inspired living meets small town charm.
Well, first for the roadside Barrie Colts, it's Ben Verebic back in net today. 19-7-2-3 on the season. The Colts starting netminder with a .929 save percentage and a .262 goals against average. Verebic stopped 15 of 18 on Thursday in the win against Niagara, and also almost got into a goalie fight of his own. For the Brantford Bulldogs, Ryerson Leaders getting the start, 18-3-3-1 on the season with a .913 save percentage and a .263 goals against average. Leaders got the win on Friday against Sudbury, stopping 29 of 33. Mike, I don't know if you remember, but the last time we were here, there was a big line brawl in the second period, and Ryerson Leaders came to center ice trying to challenge Ben Verebic to a goalie fight.
I love how you're still bringing up the goalie fight. That was a highlight. It was great. But our referees this afternoon, Jesse Wilmot and Hillary Brennan, and on the lines, Brian Burkhoff and Joe Chilbowicz. As we are ready to go, this place is electric. The Madhouse on Market. And we are underway. Face-off won by the Bulldogs. Juracek has it in his own zone. As the Bulldogs will set things up. Paquette gets a stick on it, so no icing. Horebeck out of his net to play it, sends this one around. Kayshawn Aitchison has it. Gardner to Passmore. Passmore gets this one out to the neutral zone where Owen Protz will send it right back into the Barrie end. That puck's going to sail around to the far side. And there's a big hit. Zabeski delivered that check there on Cooper Dennis. Colts move it up. Crombie towards the net. Juracek gets in the way, and the Bulldogs will get it out. There's another big hit as bodies are flying early in this one. O'Brien picks off the Von Richter pass. It's going to go deep into the Barrie zone. Parker Von Richter deep in his own zone. He'll send it around the boards, picked up by Hanser. Justin Hanser goes back to Von Richter. He'll reach center ice for the Colts. Carries this one in the zone, but that's going to be offside as Emil Hemming was just ahead of the play.
You mentioned the noise in the crowd, and not just because of how much is on the line here, but it really does feel like a playoff game. There's always an aura and an energy around a game like that, and the crowd is rocking and the music loud as can be. And I hope Colts fans are ready for February 21st when Brantford comes to town. If it's anything like that in the Sadlin Arena, it's going to be mayhem.
Yeah, 2 meetings up in Barrie between these 2 teams at the top of the Eastern Conference standings. As the Colts have it in the Brantford zone, Passmore shots blocked in front. We're getting a whistle. Looked like it may have been a high stick, but now we've got Kayshawn Aitchison mixing it up. Hemming or Bodwin also trying to separate those two. It's Jake O'Brien and Kayshawn Aitchison who are in a bit of a tussle.
And then Sandu by the net as well going at it.
I think these players, they are ready to go here this afternoon, despite the weather outside.
Well, that's one of the reasons why this game shouldn't have been canceled. I don't think anyone wanted to wait any longer to see these 2 teams match up. I mean, only 1 game between them so far this year, and it was way back in October. The Barrie Colts were still figuring themselves out. The Brantford Bulldogs have added 5 players to their roster since then as well.
Face off to the right of Ryerson Leanders. Bodwin's going to take the draw here against Jet Luchenko. And the linesman not liking what he sees. He's going to toss out Luchenko. So in steps O'Brien. And we've only played a minute into this hockey game. It feels like we were already covering so much.
It's a minute and a second.
Okay, a minute 1. Feels like a lot going on already. Face off won by the Colts, but that's 1-2 cleanly. It's going all the way back. Luchenko gives chase. Aitchison trying to protect that puck. Jet Luchenko, he'll dig it free. Has it on the far board, sends it down low. Bulldogs moving it around. O'Brien's knocked over. Fans want a penalty, none coming. Colts get this one out to center, knocked down by Sandu. The former Oshawa General puts this one into the Barrie zone. Colts fans, I'm sure, quite familiar with both Sandu and Danford, the 2 former Generals who've met them in the playoffs these last 2 years in a row. Both teams right now are going to make a change, so back to pick it up is Parker Von Richter. Von Richter, he's going to take his time, decides to leave it for Hanser. Justin Hanser up to Von Richter, through center, backhand pass to Schneid. Doesn't connect. Bulldogs able to get this one out to center ice. Hanser from his own blue line, up to Salandra. He's going to dump it in. Angle, back to play it for Brantford, sends this one out. Kept in by Von Richter. It's in Newton's skates. He'll send that one to the corner. Gabriel Frasca hammers this one around the boards. Angle continues it to Paquette. Charlie Paquette playing in his 300th OHL game. Former Guelph Storm sends it behind the net for Angle. Angle's just going to leave it there as the Bulldogs pick up some momentum, skating it ahead. That's Gabriel Frasca. Frasca stopped in the neutral zone, dumps it in. That's going to go around the boards. Far side, Jaden Newton trying to get a stick on it. Newton falls through, gets this one out. Salandra gets it to go down the ice. It's on net, so no icing. Trevetsky, he'll leave it behind the net for Angle. Bulldogs setting up back in their own zone. Just 1 shot so far in this game, and they're crediting that to the Barrie Colts. Saw some big hits in the opening minute, but things kind of settling down now as that's going to go down the ice. Chamberlain tips this one in the zone, so no icing. Goes behind the Barrie net. Emerton gets a stick on it. Luke Govro gives chase. Protz off the point to play it. Colts, however, get it out. Back in his own zone. That's Adam Juracek. Juracek up to Protz. Protz backtracking in his own zone. Goes across to Juracek. That's deflected. Chamberlain trying to get to it. He'll send it into the Barrie zone. Tashurna chases after it. Puck's in the corner. Tashurna knocked down. Still plays it. Here's Juracek. His shot stopped by Horebeck. Tashurna gets it on the half boards. Govro tried to knock him over. Tashurna takes the shot. Stopped by Horebeck. Puck's at the side of the net. Picked up by Eliasson. Eliasson with the backhand pass to Luke Govro. He's just going to dump this one in. Colts will make a change as Leanders will play it to his defense. Protz goes behind his own net for Juracek. On the forecheck, there's Mason Zabeski. Bulldogs move it up. Paquette At center, goes across to Malhotra. Malhotra around Hanser, trying to take the shot. Hits the side of the net. Malhotra still with it. Goes back to Dennis. Cooper Dennis at the point. Waits. His pass taken away there by Brad Gardner, and the Colts get it out. That's going to go down the ice. Collected there by Sandu. Sends that one up. Malhotra collides with Hanser. Puck goes in the Barrie zone. Parker Von Richter up to Hanser. Hanser has it in the corner. Facing some pressure. Goes across to Crombie. He'll kick this out to the neutral zone. Sandu sends this one across to Ben Danford. Malhotra gets it off his skate. He'll enter the zone. Takes a hard hit from Zabeski. Almost pushed into the Colts bench. Barrie with possession. It's Justin Hanser through center. Dumps us into the Brantford zone. Zachary Sandu gets this one ahead. Beaudoin takes it here for the Colts. Cuts to the middle. Beaudoin up the middle. And that shot goes wide to the net. Beaudoin in a battle now with Paquette. Danford finds the loose puck. Sent up the middle. Colts keep it in. Aitchison goes to Passmore. Takes the shot. And that goes off Beaudoin in front. And out of play. As it's quite the pace right now here between the Colts and the Bulldogs.
A strong start for both sides. It's going to be interesting to watch here for the Barrie Colts. Well, last night against Brampton, third and fourth lines got a lot of minutes. Dylan Smoswich trying to have his top guys as ready to go as possible. And got to expect this top line with Beaudoin and Hemming are going to get a lot of minutes this afternoon.
Well, like you said a few moments ago, this has that feeling of a playoff game. There's 3 points separating these two teams at the top of the Eastern Conference. Kayshawn Aitchison backtracking in his own zone. Wilmot gets a stick on it, so no icing. Leanders out of his net to play it. Sends it around. Owen Protz. His pass deflected. Bulldogs will get this one out to center. Passmore gets a stick on it. Wilmot. He'll play it back into the Brantford zone. Bulldogs with possession. Wilmot, though, forces a turnover. Puck's down low. Protz able to send this one around. O'Brien can't get it out. There's a shot from the point as Leanders makes the glove save. And again, Kayshawn Aitchison getting some attention now, mixing it up a bit with Merrick Van Acker.
Aitchison got into a big brawl last time these two teams faced off with Van Acker and Owen Protz as well. And talking about the playoff feel, and that means like Kayshawn Aitchison's going to get a lot of minutes today. And I'd watch to see how much he's playing with Parker Von Richter. At the start, Aitchison's with Pathmore, Von Richter's with Hanser, but they're probably going to want those two together to get the most minutes out of both of them.
Well, the benefit for the Barrie Colts is that this is the last game of the weekend, so you can put it all out on the line here before you play again Friday night down in Flint.
Don't have a home game Thursday, so they get an extra day as well.
Exactly. Puck goes into the Barrie zone. Here's Cole Emerton. Emerton through center. His pass. That's deflected, but he'll follow it up. Takes a hard hit from Sandu. Sandu now throwing his weight around. Puck's taken away. Salandra. He was trying to find Newton, but it got behind him. Sandu comes up with it for the Bulldogs. Rosetto sends this one up. Carrying it forward. That's Cooper Dennis. Dennis dumps this one in. Frasca in a battle there with Emerton. Eliasson behind the net. Gabriel Eliasson passing this one ahead to Newton. Newton able to keep that one away from Danford. Gets it out into the neutral zone. Angle. Back in his own zone. Passes it up to Frasca. Frasca goes to Chamberlain. Chamberlain loses it. Rolls on nets. And Hrebeck not taking any chances there as he'll hold on. And we're already past the 6-minute mark of this first period and still no score.
Well, these games on the road are always going to be pivotal for the Barrie Colts, especially if they can't catch up to Brantford in the standings down the stretch, because that potential conference finals matchup, whether it's against Brantford or Ottawa, would be Brantford or Ottawa with the home advantage, which means not only are you at home less, but the biggest game, Game 7, would be on the road. So big chance for the Barrie Colts to prove here again that they're able to compete with the Bulldogs here at the TD Civic Center.
Well, you don't want to say this is a must-win, but it almost has that feel for the Barrie Colts if, in fact, they're going to close that gap with the two teams at the top of the East Division. As Brantford, they have a game in hand on the Barrie Colts. So you want to get within a point, and then depending on what happens on that next game, for the Colts, you want to be right there in that race.
Well, those games in hand are always so important at the top of the standings because at the bottom, it's like, okay, they got a game in hand. They still got to win that game. With the way the Brantford Bulldogs play, you got to assume they're either going to win or get at least a point out of that game. So you can almost look at that gap, if it's 5 points after today, as 7 or 6, depending on if they win or get an overtime loss in that game in hand.
Face-off one by the Colts to the left of Ben Hrebeck. Crombie has it in the corner. That's knocked down. Zabeski will follow it up. Sends it across to Justin Hanser. Hanser gets to center ice. He's going to dump it. He runs over his man. Taking a tumble there was Dylan Tashurna. Bulldogs with it. They're going to send this one down the ice. Icing is waved off. They're saying Von Richter could have played it. Von Richter, he's knocked over. Still able to play it there to Hanser. Hanser and Tashurna meet again. Or actually make that Freeman. Freeman trying to send that one back to the point, but it's taken away by the Colts. Calvin Crombie over to Gardner. That goes over a stick. Puck bouncing back into the Barrie zone. Zabeski, first one on it. Kayshawn Aitchison receives the pass, sends it ahead. Crombie got a stick on it. That goes into the Brantford zone. Here's Ben Danford. Sends it across to Luchenko. Jet Luchenko on the near side. Trying to get away from Kayshawn Aitchison. Drops it back to the point, but no one there. That's going to escape the zone, so delayed offside against the Bulldogs. Parevic. He'll leave it there for Kayshawn Aitchison. He's going to take his time. Barrie right now completing a line change. Aitchison moving it up slowly. Goes to Evan Passmore up the wing. Wilmot got a stick on it, so no icing. Puck goes around the boards. Juracek sends this one up to O'Brien. O'Brien puts this one across. Carrying this one forward is Owen Protz. Goes back to Van Acker. Protz gets it at the point. Takes the shot. Stopped by Parevic. Puck's in the air. Colts after it. Bodwin trying to get it out. Taken away by O'Brien. O'Brien back to Juracek. Up the middle. Stopped by Parevic. Rebound. And that's going to go out of play as the Brantford Bulldogs getting a great opportunity with that chance from Juracek.
The biggest look of the really part of this game there from Juracek is O'Brien was able to get it out front for him, and Bodwin wasn't able to get back to the middle there in time, and Juracek left open in the slot. Parevic able to make the save. Adam Juracek got the game-tying goal the last time these two teams faced off.
Yeah, and after that buzz around the net, Brantford suddenly 5 shots on net. As this Bulldogs team, they have that ability to just attack in waves. With that depth they have up front, and then their defense not afraid to mix it up as well. Face-off won by Brantford. Angle shot stopped by Parevic. Puck goes to the corner. Angle gets again at the point. That goes off Cooper Dennis. Rossetto keeps this one in for Brantford. Aitchison, though, gets this out to the neutral zone. Picking it up as Angle in his own zone. Frasca tips it in, so no icing. Puck goes behind the net. There's a collision as Emerton is run over. Puck comes to the point. Brantford can't keep it in. Emerton's wondering if there should have been a penalty, but play continues. Referees just letting these two teams play. Gabriel Eliasson in his own zone goes to Emerton, and then he takes a run at Dennis, and that's going to be a penalty. They're going to call this interference on Gabriel Eliasson, so the Bulldogs, they're going to get the first power play of the afternoon.
Yeah, there's been a couple plays you have to wonder about, but it seems like the officials going to let them play. It looked like Cole Emerton stumbled on his own accord, and I don't think Dennis got too much of a piece from there. And then taking another look, and they're rewinding the replay. Hold on.
Just wait.
Like Dennis sent it across, and Eliasson just a bit too late on that hit. And the Bulldogs get the first power play of the game.
And the Brantford Bulldogs have the #1 power play in the OHL at 32.3%. And the Barrie Colts penalty kill continues to climb. It's now 6th overall at 80.7%.
Bulldogs getting a face-off penalty, I think.
So it's a face-off violation penalty on Cole Bodwin. So things have gone from bad to worse here for the Barrie Colts. So that means it's going to be a 5-on-3 situation for a minute 58. Right now, the officials are having a conversation. They're both shaking their heads. Wilmot, the referee, is going to go over to talk to Dylan Smoskowitz. Jesse Wilmot spoke with Hillary Brennan, and she was just shaking her head. So we'll see what kind of explanation Dylan Smoskowitz gets here.
Was it a minute 58, or does the clock have to reset because it was off face-off, or would time have gone?
Well, if it was not a clean face-off, then yes, it would be the full 2 minutes. But because it's that face-off violation, I think the clock does run 2 seconds. Right now, Smoskowitz still having a conversation with Wilmot. I thought it was just the linesman was going to toss them out. I didn't actually see the...
No, I didn't see it either. I thought at first Brantford had got a penalty because Van Acker was kind of had his hand up and then was kind of moving over, but then Bodwin went.
So it is, in fact, going to be a 5-on-3 for a minute 58. So a huge test here for the Barrie Colts. Faceoff will come to the left of Ben Horevic. Jane Newton taking the draw against Jet Luchenko. Big faceoff here. Passmore and Aitchison are the defense. Faceoff won by Newton. O'Brien, though, gets the loose puck at the blue line. Juracek keeps this one in. Juracek over to Van Acker. Back to O'Brien. O'Brien lost the handle, but Juracek able to keep it in. Adam Juracek in the high slot. Waits. Goes back to Luchenko. Luchenko waits. Sends it across. There's a pass, but deflected by Aitchison, and that's going to go down the ice. So they're actually calling delay a game on Cole Beaudoin. So I have nothing. I don't know. Here comes Jet Luchenko carrying it in. It's still a 5-on-3 here for the Brantford Bulldogs. Juracek goes to Luchenko. Back to Juracek. Juracek takes his time. He'll trade places with O'Brien. Jake O'Brien, high slot. Goes to Luchenko. One-timer! Stopped by Horevic. He got a piece of it with the knob of his stick. Horevic has lost his twig. It's in the corner, and the Colts are able to get this one out. What a save by Ben Horevic. Leanders with that long pass, trying to catch the Colts on a change. Van Acker gets it in, but that's knocked out by Von Richter. Juracek back in his own zone. Adam Juracek reaches center. Merrick Van Acker on the near side. Drops this one back to O'Brien. O'Brien looking across, looks at the clock. 40 seconds left in the 5-on-3. Here's Malhotra. Caleb Malhotra drops it back to Juracek. Juracek waits, drops it back to Luchenko. Luchenko near side. O'Brien doesn't take the shot, waits, looks at his options. Juracek, O'Brien, one-timer. The passing flank for the Brantford Bulldogs. They take advantage, and it's 1-0.
Took a while, and Bulldogs are able to get on the board here. Merrick Van Acker was right out front of the net there. The Barrie Colts are on the tablets right now, looking to see if there was anything. Von Richter was out front as well, so not sure if A, there was contact with Horevic, or B, if it was Von Richter shoving Luchenko or Van Acker into Horevic. Take another look. Puck goes across. O'Brien waiting it out. Passes it back to Juracek, and then Juracek gets it right back. Doesn't look like any contact, and the goal is going to count.
So for Jake O'Brien, that's 15 goals on the season. So the power play continues here for the Bulldogs for another 18 seconds. Javetsky sends this one into the corner. He'll get it himself. Mason Zabeski along the boards. Paquette takes that one away from him. Battle ensues in the corner. Justin Hanser gives that one up to Passmore. Angle comes off the point, putting on some pressure here. Battle continues. Here's Charlie Paquette. Paquette fans on the pass, and the power play's come to an end. Beaudoin wants that breakout pass, but picking that all in off at center was Cooper Dennis. Horevic slows it down behind the net. 9.5 minutes left to go in this first period. That's deflected and will go out of play as the Barrie Colts find themselves down early in this hockey game with Jake O'Brien on the 5-on-3.
Well, tough start there for the Colts. Obviously, it's hard to kill a 5-on-3 off in general, but when you're facing the league's best power play, it gets even harder. All that talent on the Bulldogs there on that power play is crazy to see.
Well, they were just going back and forth, making Horevic move, and that's what you have to do. If you're going to beat Ben Horevic, you got to make him move in his crease. And they were successful there on the 5-on-3. Face-off now to the right of the Barrie net. That face-off won by the Bulldogs, but Eliason's going to get it out. That goes down the ice. Zachary Sandu there to pick it up for Brantford. He's being chased by Crombie. Loose puck. Zabeski gets to it. His pass is deflected as Paquette came skating in front. Now it's Malhotra. Malhotra avoids the hit from Crombie. Emerton trying to get a stick on it. Malhotra finds it. Caleb Malhotra in the corner gets it back to Paquette. Paquette shot stopped by Horevic. And he's going to pounce on that. As now we've got Caleb Malhotra mixing up with Zabeski, and then Crombie tying up Paquette. But some good eyes there for Caleb Malhotra, or he would have been run over by Calvin Crombie.
Yeah, good job getting out of the way there. And that's one of the reasons Malhotra's so good at the way he plays. And him and Zabeski still going at it right now. And
What is Zabeski doing?
what was that?
Okay, so that's going to be a battle to keep an eye on for the rest of the afternoon. He was like doing a squat. Yeah, I don't know what that was.
I can't even describe it.
Well, we'll keep an eye on Malhotra and Zabeski. See if anything else comes of that. Face-off won by the Colts. Aitchison goes around his own net. Kayshawn Aitchison, he's got some room. Gets to the blue line, up to Passmore. He's going to send it into the zone. Leanders will play it. Looks around, puts it behind the net. Sandu has his pocket picked by Bodwan. In front, Hemming. His shot deflected, hits the side of the net. Bulldogs send this one around. Danford moves it up to O'Brien. Jake O'Brien puts this one behind Luchenko. Luchenko there to pick it up for the Bulldogs. Long stretch pass up to O'Brien in the neutral zone. He's going to dump it in. Around the boards, Horevic stomps it behind the net. Ben Horevic sends this one around the glass. That'll get out. Danford in the neutral zone, taken away there by Wilmot. Wilmot takes a hit, but he's able to send it behind the Brantford net. There's Sandu. Zachary Sandu with possession here for the Bulldogs. Flips this one down the ice. Got too much on it. And now it's an icing call against Brantford with 8:12 remaining in the first period.
Well, it'll be an interesting matchup to watch here as Bodwin, Hemming, and Wilmot line tries to go to work. And obviously the Brantford Bulldogs really deep defensively, so it'll be interesting to see how they match up against the Barrie Colts top line. It's been one of the best lines in hockey since being put together.
William Schneid set to take the face-off here for the Barrie Colts to the left of Ryerson Leanders. Jet Luchenko is going to take it for Brantford. So big face-off here. Face-off won by the Colts. Von Richter has it at the point. Goes to Aitchison. Aitchison with a shot deflected. Ends up going into the corner. Von Richter comes off the point to play it. Parker Von Richter behind the Brantford net. In front, it's loose. Von Richter going around the net again. Ends up in that far corner. In front, deflected. Salandra got a stick on it, but it goes wide in the net. Jay Newton at the point. Takes the shot. Stopped by Leanders. And the Bulldogs relieving the pressure. Send it down the ice. And it's going to be icing. That was just barely icing. But that means Brantford can't make a line change.
That was close. As it gets. A couple nice saves there by Ryerson Leanders. I think he could be Brantford's X factor here in these series. I mean, you look at Ben Horevic and Ryder Fedorov, his two biggest competitors, and Ryerson Leanders is a really good goalie, but you look at the numbers, and his numbers are a bit below Horevic and Fedorov, and it could come down to, in a series, who can make that last save. And Barrie Colts and the Ottawa 67s, even the Peterborough Petes, have just as good of goalie, if not better, than the Brantford Bulldogs.
Well, it's quite impressive. Leanders and David Egeroff, their numbers are very similar. Both have a .913 save percentage. Colts get it in the corner. Cole Bodwan in a battle from his knees, loses his stick. Bulldogs send this one around, kept in the point by Von Richter. Across to Aitchison. Aitchison keeps this one along the boards. Now the Bulldogs get it out. Icing waved off this time. Parker Von Richter back to play it for the Colts. Long pass to Bodwan. Tips this one into the zone, so no icing. Wilmot chasing after it. Juracek gets there for the Bulldogs. Turns it over. Hemming shot's blocked. Bulldogs get it back behind their own net. Juracek being chased there by Hemming. Juracek's pass picked off by Bodwan. Bodwan can't hold on to that one. Puck comes to the line and out. Colts with it. Schneid back to Passmore. Evan Passmore flipping this one forward, trying the alley-oop pass. Bounces in front of Juracek. Dennis sends it back to his defense. Puck's in the corner. Prot's reaching for it. Salandra trying to get a stick on it. Here's Paquette in a battle with Passmore. Puck's in the corner. Paquette's knocked over. Fans want a penalty. None coming. Bulldogs with possession. Trying to get out of the zone. Malhotra, he'll send it forward. Carrying this one up is Paquette. Paquette knocks over Salandra. We got a penalty call coming. And then Paquette knocks over Salandra again. So I'm not sure if the original call is going against Charlie Paquette. But it's going to be a penalty against Brantford for high sticking. And Paquette, he is upset about this call.
Paquette not happy. It's going to be 2 minutes on that. And I think if he hadn't already gotten a penalty, it's Dennis and Passmore now going at it. But if he hadn't already gotten a penalty, he may have got a penalty when he knocked down Salandra there. He got pretty high up on Salandra, and now Barrie Colts, they allow a power play goal against a couple minutes ago, but now their power play, which has been really strong as of late, gets an opportunity here to even this game up at 1.
And this Barrie Colts power play presented by Frontline Hockey Apparel. You can find them at frontlinehockeyapparel.com. Puck's taken away by Bodwan, trying to send it back to the point. Aitchison, his shot deflected, ends up going wide in the net. Emil Hemming in the corner. Facing pressure, goes to Bodwan at the point. Emerton goes back to Hemming. Emil Hemming sets up Bodwan down low. Cole Bodwan going around the net. In front, Salandra. Hemming can't get the shot to go. Here's Emerton. Aitchison, one-timer, blocked by Danford. Puck comes to the near side. Aitchison down to Cole Beaudoin in the corner. Beaudoin falling, plays it back to the point. Keishon Aitchison has it for the Colts. He trades places with Emerton over to Hemming on the far side. Emil Hemming. Down low, finds Beaudoin. Beaudoin to Salandra. That's blocked, and the Bulldogs will get it out. 1:10 remaining in the power play here for the Barrie Colts. Now, for Barrie, they do have the fourth best power play in the OHL. It's operating 24.5%, but this Bulldogs PK right now 8th at 80.1%. So two teams with some strong specialty team numbers as Emerton sends it over to Aitchison, takes the shot, kicked aside by Leenders, rebound. Beaudoin trying to bank it, but it's caught by Leenders. And of course, more pushing and shoving after the whistle, and Calvin Crombie right in the thick of it. Looks like it's going to be Protz and Crombie both going off.
Jesse Wilmot pointing at a couple players there. A couple of real nice saves from Ryerson Leenders there. Both had some nice looks, and Aitchison steps up, gets the shot underneath of Protz there. It's stopped by Leenders. He's able to get the rebound as well on Crombie, and then Von Richter able to knock that puck loose for a nice look. But Leenders able to make the save again. And like you mentioned, the special teams matchup, I mean, these are 2 top 5 power plays, 2 top 10 penalty kills. These two teams, there's not a lot of flaws on either of them.
So it's both Crombie and Protz in the box. And now remember, Calvin Crombie, he's a former Brantford Bulldog. And I guess friendship doesn't matter out on the ice right now.
Well, that happened last time. He got into a fight here, didn't he?
That's true. Yeah.
And he kind of, like, when he got into the fight, he was kind of looking around like, did I just do that? Why did that happen? What did I do?
Well, right now, Jay McKee, the head coach of the Brantford Bulldogs, having a heated conversation with Jesse Wilmot. Everybody is just ready to go here. At least, the weather might be awful outside, but everyone's warm and excited for this one.
I'm not warm.
You're not warm?
Not warm. I'm warming up.
Oh, there you go. See, at least you're warming up.
Gene's still got his coat up.
Yeah, Gene's pretty cold. I'm surprised he's not wearing a parka. Anyways.
The timekeeper guy beside us got his toque.
Yeah. It's a cozy barn here in Brantford. And of course, they're building that new arena next door. Face-off won by the Bulldogs. Puck goes to the corner. Brad Gardner has it along the boards. Salandra back to Von Richter. Von Richter goes back to Gardner. Von Richter again from the point. Wilmot, Von Richter, Gardner. One-timer stopped by Leenders. He gets across in time. But a decent setup there from Parker Von Richter.
His second unit done a good job setting up these chances, but Ryerson Leenders done a really good job early in this game. Von Richter on the point sends it across, and Gardner wide open for that one-timer, but Leenders able to get across.
Still 26 seconds left in the power play for the Barrie Colts. Ben Wilmot is going to take the draw against Jake O'Brien. Just waiting for them to drop the puck. Nope, they're going to toss out Wilmot. So Wilmot steps out. Mason Zabeski will come in to take the draw. Kind of surprised it's not Gardner.
I think Gardner thought it was going to be him at first.
So Zabeski against O'Brien. Face-off won by the Colts. Quick pass to the point, but Wilmot was not able to get it, so it sails back to their own blue line. Von Richter up to Gardner. Wilmot reaching for it. Danford dumps this one down the ice, and Horebic decides to hold on to it with 14 seconds still to work with on this man advantage.
Mentioned Brantford getting a new rink, and their old home Hamilton getting a new team. The Bridgeport Islanders are moving to Hamilton, and nice to see because the Hamilton Bulldogs, they didn't leave because of a lack of support or anything. They came to Brantford and we thought it was going to be temporary, but then the announcement was made last season that they're staying in Brantford, quote, forever.
Yeah. Well, it was disagreements and miscommunication, really, I think, between Hamilton City Council and the Bulldogs, which resulted in the Bulldogs moving down the 403, but they found a great home in the Telephone City and signed that 15-year lease. As the power play has come to an end, so back to even strength. So Barrie right now 0 for 1 on the man advantage. As the puck's in the neutral zone, Paquette's going to send this one deep. Justin Hanser behind the net for the Colts, being pressured there by Van Acker. Van Acker holding on to his stick. Paquette back to the line. Danford keeps it in. Zabeski can't get it out. Blocked by Paquette. Charlie Paquette trying to pass it, and then Hanser runs him into the boards. Zabeski gets the loose puck, goes around the net. Mason Zabeski picking up some momentum, reaches center ice. Zabeski drops it back to Newton. Newton puts towards the net, knocked down by Danford. He's going to send it down ice for O'Brien, but no, they're going to wave off the icing. O'Brien beats out the icing call. Justin Hanser gets it along the boards. Hanser chips it ahead to Ben Wilmot. Wilmot, his pass is blocked, enters the Brantford zone, and that's going to be offside against the Colts, as we're now down to 3:36 remaining in the first period. But it is going to be fascinating just when they do build that new arena here in Brantford. It's going to be located right next door to the Civic Center. And they're hoping that's going to be open by 2028. And we've already heard the Bulldogs, they want to put in a bid to host the 2030 Memorial Cup.
That will be an interesting place. And that 2030 bid, oh, it's so interesting already. You got all these teams wanting new rinks. Ottawa, Sudbury, Brantford. Oshawa's making a couple renovations to their rink. And then, of course, the Kitchener Rangers thought they were getting it this year, and now they're not. So
it's going to be fascinating with the new rinks. There's going to be a lot of teams putting in bids, I think, for that 2030 Memorial Cup. Then it comes down to the cycle. Which teams are going to be ready for that 2029-30 run? As we're seeing it right now with the Guelph Storm and how they're loading up for next year. It'll be interesting to see if it will be one of the new arenas that will be open, Brantford, Sudbury, or Ottawa come that time.
Well, it's all about who can situate themselves the best that year before, because if your future looks bleak at that time, you're probably not getting chosen.
So we're down to 3:36 remaining in this first period. 1-0 Brantford. Your goal scorer tonight, Jake O'Brien. That was on a 5-on-3 situation for the Bulldogs. Puck's in the neutral zone. Engel's going to send this one back. Carrying that one in, Dravetsky sends it to the near side. Sherna couldn't get a stick on it. Aitchison behind his own net. Sends this one forward. Frasca comes up with it here for Brantford. From the point, takes the shot, stopped by Horevic. Contact made with Ben Horevic. Play continues. Puck goes down the ice. Frasca's going to come up with it for Brantford. Dravetsky over to Engel. Engel's got some room. Sends it forward. His pass picked off by Schneid. Schneid, though, couldn't get it any further. Sherna dumps it in. Back to pick it up is Eliasson. He'll drop it back to Cole Emerton. Emerton gets this one out. Picked up by Engel at center ice. Backtracking to his own blue line. Sends it across. Bulldogs will dump this one in. Emerton gets it for the Colts. Goes to Schneid. William Schneid up to Jaden Newton. He's going to send it down the ice. Right now there's a Bulldog player floating it up. That's Dylan Sherna, and he's in a lot of discomfort. He is not moving that left arm. So not a good sign who the Bulldogs already missing pieces from their lineup. They have the puck deep in their own zone. Here's O'Brien. That's deflected by Wilmot. Danford able to follow it up. Goes back to O'Brien. Van Acker on the near side dumps it in. Around the boards it goes. Aitchison there to play it for the Colts. Gives that one to Evan Passmore. Passmore ahead. Kept in there by Sandu. Puck's in the corner. Van Acker in a battle with Passmore. Wilmot passes it up. Picked up here by Cole Beaudoin. Beaudoin skates it in for the Colts. Trying to get around Danford. In front shot stop. Rebound. Puck's loose. Colts can't find it. Wilmot loses it. Beaudoin, he's tripped up. Play continues. Aitchison across, deflected, and Leanders had to make the quick reflex save, as that's the busiest he's been in a while, as the shots right now 12-9 in favor of Brantford.
Nice work there by Ryerson Leanders as Aitchison's trying to send that across to Wilmot, who was open, so Leanders has to be ready to slide across, but kicks off a Bulldogs player, and we've seen a couple times this season plays like that, and it deflects into the net. Leanders does a good job getting in front of that one.
Well, you got to put pucks on net. That's exactly what the Colts were doing there. Aitchison and Beaudoin, and just saw Dylan Sherna go down the tunnel, so he looked like in a lot of discomfort with that shoulder. So face off to the right of Leanders, won by the Colts. Aitchison has it, takes the shot, deflected in front. Crombie couldn't get a stick on it. Bulldogs flip this one down the ice. Aitchison picks it up here for the Colts. And we're going to get a whistle here. It's going to be offside, I believe, against Brantford.
Well, this Bulldogs team, you look at how deep they are today. It's crazy to think that they're pretty banged up right now. I mean, Adam Vanak and Testa and Holmes all in the lineup there. Those are three guys you can add, make this team even deeper. You look at the bottom six right now. They're not too deep on the winger side of things, but then all of a sudden you add those guys to the lineup, and one of Paquette, Dennis, and Banak has to be in the third line.
Well, it's Asherna, the center on that fourth line for Brantford between Hankai and Freeman. As the puck goes back to the Colts blue line, Zabeski sends it deep into the Brantford zone. Juracek is there to collect it. Crombie gives chase. Adam Juracek facing pressure. Drops this one back. Picked up by Dennis. Near side Paquette. Paquette has that one roll into the Barrie zone. Hanser's going to get a stick on it. Over to Crombie. Crombie gets this one out. Juracek has it in his skates. Sends this one forward. Picked off there by Crombie. Dumps this one in. Goes off Prods. Loose puck. Zabeski after it. We're in the final minute of the first period. Bulldogs get this one out. Now it's a chance for Cooper Dennis. Dennis with a lane. Stopped by Horebic. Puck comes back to the point. Malhotra's shot goes off Gardner and ends up back in the Brantford zone. 42 seconds left in the period. Ends up in the Barrie zone. Justin Hanser will collect it. Trying to send this one out. Crombie. That one goes off the top of the glass. Gardner trying to corral it. He's got Schneid going to the net, but the puck ends up in the corner. Bulldogs with possession. Malhotra leaving it there for Paquette. He'll dump it in. Horebic behind the net. He'll send this one around. There's a collision as Passmore runs over Malhotra. Here's the Colts the other way. Aitchison fires it wide of the net. Arena right now buzzing after they thought there should have been a penalty against the Colts. 8 seconds left. Puck sent out to the neutral zone. Aitchison will put it across to Passmore as they'll let this clock run out. But a spirited opening period here between the Barrie Colts and the Brantford Bulldogs. Right now, 1-0 in favor of the home side. But what a fun game this has been already. And we still have 40 minutes of play left to go.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy to watch. I mean, these two teams going back and forth. I thought Brantford kind of started to take the game over after that 5-on-3 happened. And then the Colts, they get that power play opportunity. They don't score, but I think it maybe got them going a bit and got them back into this game. As Cole Vogel having a talk with the official right now is trying to explain what exactly he did to him.
Well, they called it delay a game. And at first we thought maybe it was, because you're not allowed to touch the puck with your glove in the face-off circle or at the face-off dot. So I kind of wondered if it was a hand infraction or face-off infraction, but called it delay a game. And Cole Baudouin still having a heated conversation with the linesman. And those penalties, that put Barrie in a bit of a hole. It was a 5-on-3 situation for 1:58. And with this top-ranked power play, they were able to take advantage, and that was what made the difference so far in that first period.
Yeah, it was probably the worst possible time to take that penalty. I mean, the Brantford Bulldogs, they have the best power play in hockey. And on top of that, you have the power play just started. So it wasn't like, okay, there's 30 seconds of a 5-on-3. It was the full 2 minutes of 5-on-3 there. And it kind of was a matter of when, not if, the Brantford Bulldogs were going to strike.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think, too, that they're still missing key pieces on this power play unit, and they were still all those crisp passes. So for the Barrie Colts, a lot of work here to do, and it just goes to show that you got to play a disciplined game if you're playing a team like this Brantford Bulldogs, even if they're missing a top guy like Banach, for example.
Yeah, Banach's such a good player, and yet they still have a deep top six with all 6 players being really quality guys that do a really good job. And it's going to be interesting to see down the stretch, the Brantford Bulldogs, if they can get fully healthy or when they get fully healthy, what the true potential of this team is altogether. I know Ben Danforth's had some injury issues as of late. He didn't return from the World Juniors till just recently. And so we haven't really fully seen all of these Brantford Bulldogs together since the trade deadline. It's going to be interesting to see down the stretch.
Now, we got here in good time despite the weather, so we were still able to catch up with Dylan Smoskowitz with the coach's corner, but you were able to catch up with Eamon Edgar. And for Edgar, he's a player that's we're hearing a lot of comparables. Some have said he kind of reminds him of Brian Little. I kind of feel like Edgar reminds me of Bo Jelsma. But the thing with Edgar, though, is his ability to go down low, playing on the top power play unit for a couple times there. He looks so comfortable down low, and he's not the biggest guy either.
Yeah, he's a smaller guy, and that's kind of a lot of the Barrie Colts legendary players, guys we're going to remember for a long time. Bo Jelsma, Brian Little, those are smaller guys, and Eamon Edgar in a similar situation, and you can see the talent is there. It's just about getting adjusted to the OHL right now, and he's gotten those opportunities on the power play with the top unit for the Barrie Colts, and for the most part down the stretch, if he's getting in the lineup, it's probably going to be on the 4th line, unfortunately, and next season when the Barrie Colts are at a different point in their run, they're Edgar is likely going to be more of a top 6 player for them.
So for Eamon Edgar, 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points in 30 games. So not too bad in his first season with the Barrie Colts. And we're going to join that conversation that Josh had with Eamon Edgar here on at the broadcast.
Joined by Colts forward Eamon Edgar. Eamon, you guys got down here last night. Is it kind of better for you to be here the day before?
Yeah, I think it helps us get prepared. You know, we got a big test today, and we're looking forward to it.
Now, how huge is this game for you guys? I mean, you're 3 points back at Brantford, and you got a real shot here at the top spot in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, this has definitely been on our schedule for a while. We've been looking forward to it, and we'll be ready to go.
Now, you've been playing in some games as of late. You've had an opportunity on that top power play along with the top guys on this team, Cole Baudouin, Emil Hemming, Keishon Aitchison. What's that been like?
Yeah, it's pretty sweet to play with those high-caliber guys, and yeah, it was nice to get some goals with them too.
Now, for you guys, how do you feel the strategy is coming into this game? I mean, you guys were up 4-1 on Brantford last time you guys played. They got back into it.
Yeah, we're just going to play Barrie Colts hockey, play structured, and stick to our game plan.
How important has Dylan Smoskowitz been to you guys? I mean, with that mindset of just winning the day, focusing on it game by game, I mean, that kind of allows you guys not to fall into a trap against a team like Brampton.
100%. It's been vital, that mindset, and winning the day is super important to us, so yeah.
Now on the road, what do you kind of do to get prepared to try and be ready for a road game, you know, long travel, hotel rooms and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think just try to stick to the game plan, you know, whether that's your individual game plan or the team game plan, and just be ready to go up, puck drop.
Now, what's your mindset been this season with, you know, you're in and out of the lineup sometimes, just trying to get that OHL experience for your first season here?
Yeah, as a young guy, just staying confident and staying true to myself, and yeah.
Now, it's a Sunday. Are you a big NFL guy? Do you still have a team in the race here, or?
Yeah, just more focused on this, to be honest, but yeah.
Well, Eamon, thanks for doing this. Best of luck today.
All right, thank you.
Welcome back to the TD Civic Center in Brantford as we're in the first intermission between the Barrie Colts and the Brantford Bulldogs. Brantford right now up 1-0 with the power play goal from Jake O'Brien. That's the difference so far. Shots 12-9 in favor of the Brantford Bulldogs. Both Harevik and Ryerson Leanders standing tall in their respective creases. But there are a few games also taking place, so we'll get to the out-of-town scoreboard in just a minute. But just a reminder, we do have the chat up and running. So if you want to take part in the conversation, you can put your chat there. If you have any comments or questions or just want to talk about something Barrie Colts related or junior hockey, you can put it there in the chat and we'll get right to it. But in the meantime, let's take a look at that out-of-town scoreboard.
Yeah, it's 6 other games on the docket today. Now only 5 because Oshawa and Kingston got postponed, but a couple more in action at 2 o'clock. Starting in London, the Knights taking on the Peterborough Petes. It's 3-1 for London after the first period. Brampton in at Niagara in a Central Division matchup. Ryer Snecker, a hat trick last night, and he opens the scoring again today. That game tied at 1 after the first period. North Bay and the Sioux in a defensive battle. No score after 1. The shot's only 6-5. Couple games yet to get underway at 3 o'clock. Saginaw and Ottawa. And then at 4 p.m., it's the final game of the OHL QMJHL interleague action with Sudbury and Royan Noranda.
It's amazing how that QMJHL crossover has been throwing people off because we saw the pregame because they like to show on the scoreboard the standings, and they had Royan Noranda
that they had them first
in the Western Conference.
Yeah, they had them first in the West, but it said they were 11th, and then I got confused because then going down, they only did it to 9, so they didn't have Sarnia in.
Yeah,
but I didn't realize they didn't have a team there. So I was like, well,
who's missing?
What numbers doubled? And there were no numbers doubled. But yeah, we figured out, even in the media kits as well, because Royan Noranda, they played 1 game.
Yeah.
And so their penalty kill is
100%.
So it says it's first. So then Barrie's 6th in penalty kill, Brantford's 8th in penalty kill. But according to the kit, they're 7th and 9th. So it throws you off for a sec. But then you look at the top and you see they're 4 for 4. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's fascinating how they're doing this crossover. There's some fans who really don't like the crossover because they feel it's not fair to the rest of the teams. Yeah, Farwell's one of them. But then there's others that appreciate it because then it's something different, especially for Sudbury facing the Rouen-Noranda Huskies. You don't usually see the Huskies as the only way you would see them is if it's the Memorial Cup final. So I don't know. I think it's a neat little caveat for the schedule, but at the same time, I do see where some of these arguments are coming from.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I think both sides make sense, though, because in the first place, when I was preparing to talk about it on the Rogers broadcast last week, I was thinking, this isn't really fair. Like, Ottawa's top of the East. They're playing Gatineau, who's second last in the QMJHL. Why is it fair that they get 2 games against them? But then when you really think about it, like, the schedule is not even in the first place. Like Barrie, they do 8 against Sudbury, 6 against Owen Sound.
Yep.
And those 2 teams have really struggled this season. So that's an advantage for Barrie. And if you look around the league, all these teams are probably getting different advantages and different disadvantages based off their schedule and really just based off the season. Next season, Owen Sound and Sudbury could be top-tier teams feasting on Barrie if they're struggling. Or, Barrie plays Peterborough once a season. Maybe that hurts Barrie in the future because Peterborough's not really a good team and you lose 2 games against them.
Yeah, and I've always been saying it'd be great to have a balanced schedule in the OHL, although I know that, with the geography and everything, it's not easy to do, especially when you factor in the Sioux Greyhounds, just how far away they are from their opponents. The closest one is Sudbury at 3 hours, and, they're in opposite conferences, so it's hard to make the schedule to be balanced, but it would be nice to see the Barrie Colts play the Peterborough Petes more than twice, because with the Petes buying at the trade deadline, that race could get, important as we go along. Obviously, the Petes have fallen off a little bit, but you would still, if you have a balanced schedule, then everyone's going to play the same opponents equally. And I think that would help with the overall standings.
Yeah, and it'd be great to see them play Peterborough a lot this season because you look at that one matchup they had at the Saddle Arena, it was a really great game. And that was before either team had bought at the trade deadline. So I'm sure it'll be even better the next time we go there, right at the end of the regular season as well. You talk about the balanced schedule as well. Different divisions could be interesting to investigate. The thing for the Barrie Colts is they have all these teams that are pretty decently close to Brampton, Guelph, Oshawa. Those are such close trips, but they're not in any of their divisions because Sudbury and North Bay up in the north, they're not near anyone else really. So obviously, as a Colts player and maybe even as a broadcaster, you'd like, Brampton, Oshawa. Obviously, they already do have Brampton, but Brampton, Oshawa, Guelph, even Brantford's not that bad of a trip, but obviously for Sudbury and North Bay, it wouldn't be fair for them to have Erie in their division and have to go so far, or Ottawa. That's a pretty far trip for them as well.
Yeah, totally. And I'm seeing in the chat, CTRA is saying maybe USHL teams join the OHL. Well, year ago, we were talking about Muskegon and Youngstown potentially joining the OHL. That talk has gone silent as right now it's in the courts because the USA Hockey basically telling the CHL they don't want to see more American teams jump ship to join the OHL. Although talking to broadcasters from Flint and Saginaw, they would love to have another team with Muskegon. Then you look at the Erie Otters. They're the lone outpost in Pennsylvania. The closest team for them are the Niagara Ice Dogs at what, 2.5 hours?
Yeah, something like that.
So it would be nice to see Erie getting another team that's relatively close. So there has been the talk about those two USHL teams joining in the future, but time will tell. There's also the Niagara Falls, New York. Talk about building a new arena there. So there is that possibility that we get more teams. I would also like to see Cornwall brought back.
Yeah, Cornwall would be an interesting one. Don't think we're going to get Belleville back, but that would be a cool one. But maybe you add 2 more U.S. teams, and you have 4 divisions, or however many divisions you have, and one of them's the 5 U.S. teams altogether. That would be interesting to see. Divisional alignment can be scary because you don't know if Barrie and the Sioux end up in the same division. Because I was gonna suggest maybe you put Sudbury, North Bay, and the Sioux together, but then
somebody's got to go with them.
It's probably Owen Sound and Barrie that would go with them, and
that won't work.
You don't want to do 3 trips to the Sioux in a season. Yes, it's It's going to be interesting to see, and maybe in the future if we get a little fresh opponents, maybe Barrie and Owen Sound are in a division together, maybe Barrie and Guelph, and that just makes the schedule so different and more interesting to see. And we get to go see different places maybe more than we usually do, and maybe we're in different places less. Sudbury, they played them 8 times. Maybe it's 6 in the future, maybe it's 4 in the future. You just never know.
And Tammy, she says the Colts will come out and score and win it. I believe in them. This is going to be a tough matchup this afternoon. Right now, the Colts down by 1. They were pushing there in that first period. We saw Cole Bodwin. He is taking it up a notch. His determination, even Keyshawn Aitchison getting a couple of looks. So this Barrie Colts team, they're right there in it. And this is obviously not an easy Brantford Bulldogs team to play against. We see why they have the number 1 ranked power play in the OHL. So it's good to have that confidence, and we'll see what happens going into the second period.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game. I mean, the shots are 12-9 right now for the Brantford Bulldogs. I knew that off the top of my head. I was just looking at something off screen.
Were you? Okay.
Yeah, don't worry. I definitely wasn't peeking at the Jumbotron there. But, it was a pretty tight period. And the Barrie Colts, they haven't faced a defense like the Brantford Bulldogs over this really good run. I mean, the Flint Firebirds, that's a really good team to beat, but they're more known for their run and gun offensive style. They haven't really played a team that's going to really, really try and shut you down. And obviously the Barrie Colts, they have the offense that can match a defense like this, and they also have the defense that can go one-on-one against the opposing team's defense. Barrie Colts, they are just as okay as the Brantford Bulldogs are with winning a game 2-1, and that's what's going to make these teams so interesting. And you include Ottawa on that. Dave Cameron's style is defense. These are 3 teams that can win a game 2-1. And I think with the talent that the Barrie Colts and Brantford Bulldogs have offensively, they can also win a game 6-5. We saw that last time. It was a 5-4 Barrie Colts win in overtime. And maybe this time's a bit more of a tight defensive battle here between these 2 teams. And obviously it's a really big game. I mean, things were so different the last time these 2 teams faced off. Kind of feels like you can kind of forget about that game. And as well, I mean, the Barrie Colts, obviously, you want to win this game, get back in the division race, make it only 1 point behind Brantford. And for the Bulldogs, they're looking at it and thinking, okay, Barrie already took 1 from us on home ice. We're not going to let them get 2.
So the players are now coming back onto the ice. So we're going to be starting the second period in just a moment. And I'm seeing Liam saying people want less U.S. hockey in Canada, not more. And you know what, Liam? I've heard that from quite a few people, and I almost wonder if it's just the climate right now, especially when it comes to that, that opinion and whatnot. And it is the Ontario Hockey League, and I see a lot of people with that argument, but we do have quite a few American players right now playing in junior hockey, so it's nice to have those outposts where they're playing kind of close to home. But it's going to be interesting with the whole USHL situation, and we were talking about it on the drive here. If the USHL were to join the Canadian Hockey League, you'd have that American outpost and see how that could happen going forward, and having 4 leagues under the Canadian Hockey League banner.
Yeah, we were talking about that when we were joking about a drive to Thunder Bay. I don't think anyone wants to do that. So, yeah, maybe you add a 4th league. And that can also eliminate the conversation. There's some people out there that feel it's not fair that a team gets, as a Memorial Cup host, can get eliminated round 1 or 2 and then go and play in the Memorial Cup and be all fresh compared to another team that's played 4 rounds of playoffs. So, yeah, it would definitely be different and interesting to see. But I better get off. I saw Gene rustling the
eager.
papers
He
back
is
there. I
eager.
think he's ready to go.
So the two teams are on the ice getting ready to start the second period of play. So Gene Pereira will be coming on to do color commentary for this second period. As we get ready for this one, the officials at center ice having a bit of a discussion before we get things going again. But it's been an exciting one so far after the opening 20 minutes. So we'll see what's in store here next. And just a reminder that we are still looking for new sponsors. So if you're a business owner or you want to be involved in the broadcast as a business sponsor, get your name on the broadcast, you can always reach out to fromtheboothwithmike@gmail.com, as we're always looking for advertisers here on the broadcast so we can make sure we continue these road games for the rest of the season. The second period now underway. Colts with it. Bodwin through the neutral zone. Drops this one back. Aitchison just keeps that in. There's a shot blocked by Danford. Wilmot in the corner trying to play it to Bodwin. Wilmot sending it behind the net to Sandu. Zachary Sandu facing some pressure there. Danford will get this one out for the Bulldogs. That ends up in the Barrie zone. It's Van Acker up the middle. His shot wide of the net. Luchenko's there. He'll dig it free. Jet Luchenko. He'll send it back to the blue line. There's a shot deflected. That ends up going wide of the net. Bulldogs move it to the point. That shot blocked by Aitchison. Danford, he has it now along the boards. Sends us back to Van Acker. Takes the shot. And that one's going to go out of play as we welcome Gene Pereira to the broadcast booth.
Well, what's happening?
Well, you're saying you were cold before the game. Have you warmed up at all?
A little bit. The action's heated up on the ice, so I think it's great a bit. But, not a bad start for the Barrie Colts. I think, you give up two-man advantage, a goal on that. And, otherwise you created some chances, first 20 minutes. But, I think this game is what we expect, a close, low-scoring contest.
Face-off won by the Colts. They have it deep in their own zone. Getting it out now is Hanser. Gardner will hammer this one towards Leenders. He'll play it. Leenders leaves it there for Owen Protz. Protz gets this one ahead, ends up in the neutral zone, picked up by Von Richter. Hanser up ahead. That's picked off by Malhotra. Malhotra skates it in for Brantford. He's run over by Crombie. Crombie just continues to throw the big hits here this afternoon. Von Richter ahead. Picked up here by Crombie. He's got a lane to the net. Calvin Crombie, backhand, stopped by Leenders. Puck goes to the corner. Sebeski sends it to the point. No one there. As Calvin Crombie, a great chance to tie this one up, but couldn't solve Ryerson Leenders. Puck's in the neutral zone. Rossetto loses the handle of it. Cole Emerton back to play it here for the Colts. He'll send it across to Eliasson. Eliasson up the boards. Newton picks it up here for the Colts. Jaden Newton trying to go to the net. He's bumped off stride. Schneid sends it around. Newton in the corner. Drops it back behind the Brantford net. Juracek comes up with it. He's tied up by Schneid. Battle behind the net. Knocked free. Joe Salandra now comes out from the corner. Back to the line. Emerton. Emerton takes the shot. Newton got a stick on it. Ends up going to the corner. Rossetto sends this one across. Emerton knocks it away from Freeman. Freeman sends it back to Juracek. Puck sending in the neutral zone. Salandra will knock it into the Brantford end. Salandra fans on the first shot attempt. Trotz can't take it. Here's William Schneid along the board. Sent back to the point. Evan Passmore takes the shot. Blocked in front by Juracek. Trotz, he takes the hit. Juracek being chased there by William Schneid. That's sent ahead. Rosado can't get it out. Aitchison doesn't take the shot. Keishon Aitchison now fires it. Getting a blocker on it there was Leenders. Juracek flips this one high in the air. Ends up at center ice. Is trying to get Gabriel Frasca. Frasca gets it along the boards. The former Erie Otter sends this one back. Kravetsky on the far boards takes the shot. Hrebeck the save. Newton trying to get a stick on it. Puck's in the corner. Freeman with possession loses it. He's able to recover. Goes to Gabriel Frasca. Frasca at the blue line just keeps it in. Kravetsky waits. Fired. Stopped by Hrebeck. And he's going to hold on for the faceoff.
This pace and time at a real premium out there in this tight checking game, but Calvin Crombie finds a way to get behind the defense, and he goes to the backhand, but Leenders shuts the door, and a big stop by the Bulldog goaltender here to start this second period. And, you can just feel like this one turning into a bit of a chess match as, things really tighten up out there and tighten up with their physical game. Again, just both teams getting right on top of whoever's got puck handles.
Well, when you got the two top teams in the conference battling it out, You know it's going to be tight, and that's going to go down the ice. And now an icing call against the Barrie Colts. 16:51 left in the second.
Well, I mean, obviously a lot of hype coming into this one. I mean, both teams quite aware of what the standings and, the tests against one another. Sure, Brantford remembers the Colts coming in here earlier this season and grabbing a win. For Brantford, for the Barrie Colts, they want to show they can play with the big dogs.
Colts win the face-off. They're going to get this out to center ice. Wilmot trying to get a stick on it. Colts with it. That's Hemming in his own zone. Goes over to Aitchison. That pass misses. Kayshawn Aitchison from the blue line up to Wilmot. Wilmot gets this one in the zone. Back to pick it up is Sandu. Zachary Sandu around the net. Facing pressure there from Bodwin. Bodwin with a big hit. Danford ahead to O'Brien. O'Brien has it now. He'll get to the line. Not out. Kept in by Wilmot. Sends it across. Aitchison has it behind him, but he couldn't get a stick on it. Now it's a 3-on-1 developing for Brantford. O'Brien on the wing to the nets and not able to get there with Sandu. Van Acker comes back to the point, sends this one around. O'Brien couldn't get a stick on it. Danford's going to come off the point. That's going to be sent down the ice. And no, they're waving off the icing. They're saying Juracek could have played it. Adam Juracek sends it up to Malhotra. Malhotra carrying this one in for Brantford, trying to cut to the net, but good work there by Aitchison to take it away. Paquette back to the point. Here's Juracek on the near side. Adam Juracek sends that one wide of the net. Hanser behind the Barrie goal. Taken away there. In front, Juracek can't get a stick on it, and that puck's going to escape the zone. Cooper Dennis sends this one back to Owen Protz. Protz up to Dennis. He's got a lane up the middle. Cooper Dennis with it. Fires. Stopped by Horebic. As we're starting to see wave after wave of attack here from Brantford.
I mean, the Barrie Colts were pressing hard. Had a lot of bodies up, and the passed a bit behind Bowden, and the Bulldogs able to take it right back down the ice. And I don't think both these teams want that open up and down game, but after a tight start, this one opening up just a little bit here in the last couple of minutes.
So they're bringing this face-off to the left of Ben Horebic. Colts taking their time on the line change here. Officials trying to get them to hurry up as Charlie Paquette gets ready to take the face-off here against Mason Zabeski. Zabeski taking the face-off for the Colts to the left of Horebic. Picked up there by Passmore. Colts with possession. Von Richter sends this one ahead. That's batted down at the blue line. Brantford with possession again. Juracek in his own zone to Protz. Owen Protz sends this one across. Dennis tips us into the zone. Puck goes deep. Von Richter there to play. He takes a hit. Brantford stepping up the physical play. Puck kept in at the blue line. Good effort there by Protz. But they're going to call this a high stick. And the fans here don't agree with that one. But look at face-off brought outside the Barrie blue line.
No surprise the officials in the stands don't agree, and never a surprise, but I think, right here, we might have the two best blue lines in the Ontario Hockey League, and a lot of similarities, kind of both big physical defenses that can be punishing Protz and likes of Danford, and of course, Aitchison and Passmore, and that Juracek, I mean, how do you get him off the ice? He's just out there all the time. You understand why. He's just such a dominant player out there.
And he finds a way just to find those holes to generate those scoring chances. As the Bulldogs get it in the zone, Juracek, though, can't keep it at the point. Crombie ties up his stick, enters the zone. Crombie takes a hit from Juracek, still trying to play it. Rossetto sends it around the boards. Frasca picks it up for Brantford. Over to Protz. Protz prepared for that hit from Gardner. Protz comes up with it. Here's Gabriel Frasca, reaches center ice for Brantford. Over to Rossetto. Rossetto loses the handle of it, taken away by Eliasson. Colts get it out. Desiderio will give chase, and no, he won't beat the icing. And they're going to bring this one back with 14:25 to play.
I'm talking to Calvin Crombie on his first visit back here to Brantford, and so coming in, he goes, "It doesn't matter. Get out there. These guys don't remember who I am. They don't care." It's like, I played in Brantford. Yeah, so what? You hit the ice, I mean, all bets are off, and all that matters is winning the hockey game for Calvin Crombie, the Colts, and the Bulldogs. Well, you face your old teammate. Well, you got to go down. That's the way it goes.
And he's such a competitor, too, and always throwing his weight around as the Colts win the faceoff. Luchenko's upset. as he thought that should have been redone, but play continues. Colts will get it out. Here's Nicholas Desiderio at center ice. Desiderio takes the shots, and Leanders makes the save, but there's a snow shower from Desiderio. Dravetsky's going to go after him. This is going to get some attention. Luchenko's in there as well with Kayshawn Aitchison. And cooler heads will prevail. It looks like we're going to get at least one penalty out of this. Or I believe we're going to get at least one penalty. We'll have to wait and see. It looks like Desiderio's going off.
Desiderio's going to get off with a skirt snow shower. I mean, there's all 5 Bulldogs in on top of him. Rebecca actually had him in a headlock and watched Desiderio there and conveniently hits the brakes right in front of the Leanders, and the Bulldogs take exception. And Trevecki had Desiderio in a headlock, but it's Desiderio, the lone guy, to go to the box.
So they're calling it for unsportsmanlike on Nicholas Desiderio. So Brantford's already 1 for 2 on the man advantage this afternoon. They scored on a 5-on-3 situation from Jake O'Brien. So we'll see what they do this time around. They win the faceoff. Juracek at the point. Sends one across. Here's O'Brien. O'Brien trying to keep it away from Hemming. Has it in the corner. Back to Juracek. Juracek goes to Luchenko. Luchenko waits. Fires. Stop. Rebound. O'Brien couldn't get the shot to go. Juracek back at the point. Goes to O'Brien. Down low. It's Van Acker across. But that's poked away by Beaudoin. Good stick there by the Colts captain as the Barrie Colts relieve the pressure and get it down the ice. Leanders behind his own net. They're going to take his time. 1:26 still to work with on the power play. Adam Juracek from his own blue line picks up speed, goes to Van Acker. Across for Malhotra. Malhotra knocks it down, but it's taken away by Hanser. Hanser can't get it by O'Brien. Bulldogs with possession. It's Caleb Malhotra back to Jet Luchenko. Luchenko to Malhotra, back to the point. Juracek, O'Brien quickly across, but they can't connect. Some great passing there, but couldn't get the finish. Here's O'Brien. Malhotra wants it, but Jake O'Brien cuts to the middle, high slot, waits. His shot blocked by Newton. Luchenko puts it across. One-timer stopped by Horebic. Van Acker gets it again, back to Juracek. 48 seconds still in the power play. O'Brien comes off the boards. Looks back to Juracek. Back to O'Brien. O'Brien down low. Van Acker tied up by Hanser. Plays it from his knees to O'Brien. O'Brien finds Juracek. Side of the net, deflected. Loose puck scored. Eric Van Acker goes to the net. He's able to find the loose biscuit, and it's now 2-0.
And to take penalties this Brantford power play to top the Ontario Hockey League, they're going to make you pay. I mean, just great puck movement, constantly looking for the one-timer, that back door, and straight puck movement, orientation, get it down low. Van Acker stopped the first time, but he's able to shovel the backhand up and over Horebic. The Bulldogs are going to strength of 2 power play goals, one on a 2-man advantage. We're up 2-0.
So Merrick Van Acker getting his 34th goal of the season. Right now leading the OHL in goal scoring, just adding to that lead. And more importantly, his team up 2-0 here in the second period with 12:28 still to play. Dennis tips this one into the zone. Horebic out of his net, leaves it there for Emerton. Roll Emerton up. Hemming had it go off his skate. Ends up back in the neutral zone. Sandu to Frasca, back to Danford. Danford sends this one ahead, doesn't connect with Plaquettes. And that's going to be an icing call now against Brantford, as penalties are becoming a problem right now for the Barrie Colts, just allowing this number 1 power play unit to have those opportunities.
We saw that problem earlier in the year, Perry, where that's constant trips to the penalty boxes, and you just can't do it against the Bulldogs. I mean, that's power play. There's just so many weapons. Van Acker from Juracek to O'Brien. I mean, you can just go on and on with this power play unit, but you're down 2-0, and both goals have come with a man advantage, and that says something. 5-on-5, you've been all right. You've played a solid game, but you just can't give this Brantford power play those kinds of opportunities.
So right now, Dylan Smoskowitz drawing up the play as this faceoff, I believe it's going to come to the right of Ryerson Leanders. So the Barrie Colts looking for a response. There's no surprise going with that top line. Cole Bodwin with Emil Hemming and Ben Wilmot. And then on the point, Kayshawn Aitchison and Cole Emerton. So the Colts try and get back into this hockey game. 12-10 left to go in the second period. So Bodwin against Gabriel Frasca at the faceoff dot. Faceoff won by the Bulldogs. Ben Danford sends this one back to Sandu. Sandu back to Danford. Those two play catch behind the net. Go to Cooper Dennis. Dennis across, finds Sandu. Sandu skates through the neutral zone to Piquette. Charlie Piquette inside the blue line. Looking at his options, passes this one across. Cooper Dennis in the corner. Sends this one around. Sandu trying to get the shot. It bounced off the boards. He dives to keep it in. Now the Colts will get it out. Emil Hemming after the loose puck. Danford, though, cuts across in time. Battle in the corner. Hemming shoves Danford off the puck. Wilmot collects it here for the Colts. He's going to take it down low. Hemming in front. Blocked it there by Danford. Hemming gets it again. Or make that Bodwin. Cole Bodwin from the high slot. Takes the shot. Leaders the save. Puck sitting there, but Wilmot couldn't get there in time. And now we've got Sandu going after Wilmot. As the officials giving them some warnings. I don't think we're going to get penalties out of this, but just that intensity continues to build.
With a big time hit in the corner, and you got Danford, who's it's almost like he's got a magnet attached to Bodwin out there. He's kind of following around, and you expect that to his defensive bearings. Make no doubt, there's a lot of line matching going up from there. Both these teams targeting their top lines against one another, but as well, they're big defenders setting up against the big guns for the opposing teams.
So face-off will come to the right of Linder. Zabeski taking the draw against Luchenko. Face-off won by the Bulldogs. Owen Potts around the net. Goes up to Van Acker. Merrick Van Acker carries this one in. Luchenko has to go off his skate. Puck's in the slot, but not able to collect that was O'Brien. Crombie sends this one deep for the Colts. Sends it behind the Brantford net. Crombie with a big hit. Puck's in front, but that doesn't connect, and O'Brien's going to skate it out for Brantford. Over to Van Acker. Van Acker sending this one around. Luchenko gets a stick on it, puts it back behind the Barrie net. Van Acker in front, but O'Brien puts it through the blue paint. Brad Gardner collecting it now for the Colts. Goes to Gabriel Eliasson. Eliasson decides to peel back, and then O'Brien trips up Passmore as he lost an edge. Mason Zabeski on the near side. His pass is deflected, so no icing. Botts will be the first one on it for Brantford behind the net. He's going to send this one around. Rossetto on the near side. He'll send this one up. Chamberlain coming off the bench. He falls, takes down Aitchison. Frasca cuts, takes the shot, misses the net. Yurchek after it. That's knocked past him and down the ice. Frasca comes up with it for the Bulldogs. Over to Dravetsky. Dravetsky sends this one back to Yurchek. Yurchek through the neutral zone. He'll skate this one in for Brantford. Adam Yurchek. In front, Rossetto trying to get a stick on it. Eliasson will flip this one down the ice. Ends up back at the Brantford Bulldogs blue line. That's going to be sent deep. Ends up behind the Barrie net. Right now, Brantford making a line change. Kayshawn Aitchison's going to skate this one up. Aitchison reaches center. That's sent deep. Slandro sends it around the boards. Angles there. Takes a bump from Newton. Puck goes behind the net. Yurchek around to Rossetto. That's going to go down the ice. Luchenko's got speed. Jet Luchenko holds up, fires, stopped by Horevic. And he's going to cover it up as Jet Luchenko, just that sudden burst of speed, gave him that great opportunity.
Luchenko turned on the Jets there, and Horevic, a nice job getting up against that post and covering up on that one. And again, both these teams, any kind of turnover in that middle ice area, I mean, it's up the ice pretty quickly. And give these guys a little bit of time and space, and they're off and running. What a pace for this one. And I mean, it's just about as physical game as Barrie had been in this season.
And we're now past the midway point of the hockey game. 9:36 remaining in the second period. Luchenko is going to be tossed down to the faceoff dot, so in steps Jake O'Brien. O'Brien against Bodwin. Faceoff won by the Bulldogs. Van Acker sends it around. Luchenko comes around the far side, back to Danford. That pass goes over his stick. Then Danford back to play it here for Brantford in his own zone. Being chased by Wilmot. Danford still with it. He'll skate this one up, reaches center. Danford with speed going end to end. Puck rolled on him, ends up in the corner. Danford's going to send this one around. Van Acker on the far side. Let's go back to Sandu. Down low, Van Acker trying to get a stick on it behind the Barrie net. That pass deflected. Juan Richter got a stick on it. That's kept in at the point. Danford's tied up by Hemming. Bulldogs want a penalty, none coming. Puck's in the neutral zone. Von Richter puts it in the zone. That's short-lived. Beaudoin at his own blue line. Cole Beaudoin, nice little move there. Carries this one in. Still with it. Beaudoin feathering that pass, but doesn't connect. That's a turnover. Wilmot shot's blocked, and that'll escape the zone. Parker Von Richter goes to Kayshawn Aitchison. Aitchison casually skating back in his own zone. Sees a lane, passes it up to Crombie. Crombie bumps this one in, doesn't go too far. Picked up by Sandu. Near side for Danford. Back to Sandu on the far side. That pass goes down the ice. Icing is waved off. Hanser gets it ahead. Trying to get a lane to it is Zabeski, but first one on instead will be Dravetsky. Dravetsky, chased there by Mason Zabeski, goes to the near side. Cooper Dennis up to Malhotra. Gives that one up to Paquette. Charlie Paquette, he's got speed through the neutral zone. Paquette's still with it. Carries this one around the net. He gets by Passmore, sends up Dennis. Bulldogs keeping it down low in the Barrie zone. They're moving it around the perimeter. Here's Malhotra. He takes a hit. That was from Zabeski. Malhotra again, over to Dennis. Dennis fires, stopped by Horebic. Passmore sending this one around. Bulldogs after it. Malhotra gets it again. That pass is blocked. That one sent back to the point. Owen Protz. Back to Dennis. Dennis doesn't take the shot. Trades places with Dravetsky. Cooper Dennis now fires. Blocked in front by Zabeski. Zabeski wants to get it out. That's deflected at the blue line. Dravetsky, though, keeps it away from Crombie. Brantford still with possession. Owen Protz sends this one back into the zone. Passmore after it. Sends it back. It hits the stick of Horebic, which is behind the net. So Ben Horebic, no stick. Passmore trying to get it along the boards. Brantford gets it back. That's taken away by Crombie. Crombie reaches center, chips this one in. Crombie over to Edgar. Shot stopped by Leaders. What a play by Crombie. Found Eamon Edgar alone in front. Another chance, and Leaders pokes that one away. Desiderio was going to the net. Now Rossetto comes the other way for Brantford. Leaves it for Frasca. Frasca takes the shot, and that one's wide, and then Frasca took a hard hit. I think it was Edgar who delivered it. Puck's behind the net. Loose puck in front. All alone was Frasca, but he couldn't get the shot to go. He loses his bucket again, and we're going to get a penalty. We'll see what the call is. I believe it's going against the Brantford Bulldogs. But we'll have to wait and see, or not sure what they're calling here. No one's coming to the penalty box. But yeah, it is going to be a penalty. Gabriel Frasca is heading to the box.
Well, what an opportunity there for Eamon Edgar in front there. Leanders, he's had a couple of big stops in this second period already, and one Crombie in all alone in that time. Edgar left all alone in front, and another huge stop by Leanders to put Colts off the board, but going to get their second power play opportunity this contest coming up.
And this Barrie Colts power play brought to you by Frontline Hockey Apparel. You can find them at frontlinehockeyapparel.com. Barrie already 0 for 1 on the power play this afternoon as Hemming has it at the point. Emil Hemming from the half boards, looking across. Over to Aitchison. Back to Emerton at the point. Sets up Hemming. Hemming looks to the net. Down low to Beaudoin. Beaudoin going around the Brantford net. Has it in the corner. Cole Beaudoin still with it. Eyes in the corner. Gives it up to Kayshawn Aitchison. Back to Beaudoin at the point. Emerton. Hemming doesn't take the shot. Emil Hemming in the middle takes the shot now, and that misses the net. Aitchison passes it up to Salandra. Side of the net, Beaudoin takes the shot, stopped by Leanders. Hemming, hard hit there from Luchenko. Puck's behind the net. Beaudoin trying to keep it away from Danford. Back to Emerton at the point. Carries it to the net. Shot stopped by Leanders. Puck's underneath Danford, and the Bulldogs will get it out. 1:10 still to go in the power play here for the Barrie Colts. It's Gabriel Frasca in the penalty box for playing with illegal equipment. And it's likely because his helmet fell off twice and still tried to play it. Hemming trying to carry that one in. It's taken away. O'Brien trying to get a shorthanded chance. He'll hit the brakes. Sends it back into his own zone for Juracek. Adam Juracek will send this one over to Protz as they take more time off this Barrie Colts power play, which is now down to 43 seconds. Juracek flipping this one down the ice. Back to play it is Parker Von Richter. Von Richter's got some space. Passes it up to Zabeski. Mason Zabeski enters the zone, goes to Gardner on the near side. Brad Gardner along the boards. Lost the handle of it. Bulldogs will get it out. 22 seconds still to work with on the man advantage. Wilmot back to Crombie, but that's deflected as Malhotra got in the way, and it's an offside call.
Ryan Leander's been the story of this period. Another couple of big stops on that very power play. And Emil Hemming walked into the middle of the ice and just, I don't think Leander's even moved, but it went past the far side post. Couple of good chances by Barrie. Just 15 seconds remaining now on this penalty to Nebraska.
Face off outside the Bulldogs' blue line. That was won by the Colts, but ends up going deep in their own zone. Von Richter back to play it. 6 seconds left in the penalty to Frasca. Von Richter carries it in. His shot stop, rebound, scores! Parker Von Richter with the follow-up. That's a power play goal with 1 second left on the clock. So the Barrie Colts, they're back in this hockey game.
You come back and you take advantage of it. How about Von Richter? You know, you get stopped, but you follow through and go to the net, and he buries it top corner. And watch Von Richter just walked in over the blue line. The quick shot, and that puck, a big rebound out to that middle of that ice area. And Von Richter following up, just fires it upstairs over Leanders, who was down after making the initial stop. And the Colts power play comes up with a big power play goal to cut this lead in half.
Parker Von Richter, he scored 2 goals in the game last Sunday up in Owen Sound, and now has one here this afternoon. So 3 goals since coming over in the trade from the Brampton Steelheads. That's now 7 goals on the season for Von Richter as the Colts in this one. Saw the goals this afternoon having to come on the power play for both teams. There's a big collision. Wilmot on Juracek. Freeman fires it. That's blocked by Von Richter. Puck's in the corner. Schneid comes up with it, trying to get it out along the boards. Bulldogs have that one knocked away. Puck goes to the corner. Justin Hanser. He'll send this one around. Puck's in the corner. Frasca there to play it. Tied up by Wilmot. Wilmot trying to get it with his skates. Hanser around the rugby scrum. Trying to get a stick in there. He'll get it out. Justin Hanser flips this one forward. Chasing after it is Schneid, but Protz will get to it first. Owen Protz has momentum. Reaches center ice. Protz gets by Von Richter, still with it end-to-end, tries to go around the net, in front, stopped by Horevic. Loose puck picked up by Hanser, drops it behind the net for Von Richter. 3.5 minutes left to go in the second period, 2-1 hockey game. Von Richter, the goal scorer for the Barrie Colts just a few moments ago. Hanser taking his time behind the net. Both teams right now completing line changes. Now it's moved ahead. It's Cole Beaudoin, reaches center. Beaudoin tripped up. That's going to be a penalty. And it's also an offside, so we'll get the whistle. But a crazy chain of events there. I think Beaudoin was worried he was also getting a penalty with that quick whistle, but it was for the offside.
Beaudoin gains the speed up over that blue line. He gets hauled down, and it's a very get the power play marker by Von Richter. They're going to get another big opportunity here late in the second period. Again, a pretty decent second period for the Barrie Colts. They got some good opportunities. Von Richter finds the back of the net. An opportunity here, and I think this game's kind of living up to everything you've been. I mean, we've seen some big hits, some big saves, and big efforts. And just so physical out there. I mean, not much time and space, and everything's like a chess match. You can see it from both coaches. The line matches. Well, there's a little bit of a playoff action a little bit early here in January.
Well, if it's any indication, I think if these teams meet in the playoffs, it's going to be a classic. As the Colts go on the Frontline Hockey Apparel power play, you can find Frontline Hockey Apparel at frontlinehockeyapparel.com as Aitchison fires that one over the net. So that's going to be sent down the ice. The Barrie Colts, third power play of the afternoon, already 1 for 2. Parker Von Richter, the goal scorer. As we have less than 3 minutes left to go in the second period. Emerton's going to drop it back to Beaudoin. Beaudoin up to Hemming, finds Kayshawn Aitchison along the boards. Aitchison trying to protect that puck. Bodwin. He was tied up. Puck's going to end up back at their own blue line, so the Colts have to regroup. Cole Emerton. He's got some room, reaches center, decides to drop it back to Hemming. Emil Hemming goes to Bodwin, enters the zone. Bodwin, half boards, across to Aitchison. Kayshawn Aitchison goes back to Emerton. Aitchison with that one-timer. No, doesn't take it. Down low, quick pass to Landra, but the puck rolled on him, and the Bulldogs are able to get it out. Power play now down to a minute 4. Perevic, long pass up to Bodwin. Bodwin at the half boards. Colts are making a line change. Hemmings at the point to Aitchison. Up to Crombie, up the middle, trying to pass it, but what a play by Ben Danford. Sliding across to take away that chance. Cooper Dennis now shorthanded, gets it deep in the Barrie zone. He's tied up. Loose puck goes behind the net. Emil Hemming with it now. 38 seconds still to work with on the power play. Crombie's going to go back to Emerton. Emerton trying to keep it away from Caleb Malhotra. Drops it back to Wilmot. Wilmot through the neutral zone. Sends it off the boards. Avoids the hit from Potts. Juracek after the loose puck. It's behind the Brantford net. Wilmot still after it. Malhotra can't get a stick on it. Here's Von Richter. Takes the shot. Deflected. Leanders makes the save. Back to the point. Von Richter across to Zabeski. Mason Zabeski to Von Richter. Von Richter up the middle. And a nice glove save by Leanders. But what a shot from Parker Von Richter as he's really stepping up his game this afternoon.
Von Richter, again, one of those guys, power play, penalty kill, protecting lead. You're behind. He's playing any role there. Another good opportunity. But how about that job by Leanders to saw Van Richter stepping into the blue line, gets out to the top of that blue paint and gets the glove out. Here's a one-timer. Von Richter's just going to step in and throw something in, some mustard into that wrist shot.
Colts win the face-off. Power play has come to an end. Von Richter has at the point, loses the handle. Crombie into the slot, takes the shot, stop, rebound. What a save by Leanders. He robbed Mason Zabeski. Now the Bulldogs will get it down ice. And that's going to go down, and we're going to wave off the icing. Colts after it. Along the boards, Von Richter tying up Frasca. Loose puck picked up by Crombie. Back to Hanser. Justin Hanser has it in the corner. We're in the final minute of the second period. Mason Zabeski will skate it up. Zabeski across to Jaden Newton. Newton skates this one in. Still with it, trying to get around Sandu. Sandu knocked it off his stick. Zabeski finds the loose puck. Blocked there by Luchenko. He loses his stick. Passmore will dump it in. Leanders behind the net trying to play it. Got by him. Ben Danford with it. 22 seconds left in the period. Long pass up to Van Acker. That doesn't connect. And that's going to be an icing call now against Brantford. So a big face-off here late in the second period.
Colts with a couple of power play opportunities, and your pace just gaining a bit of momentum there here to the end of the second period. And 16.6 seconds remaining. Got a big face-off coming in the Brantford end. And these draws, they become something here, Officials take their time to drop the puck. And it's a big one here late. Colts looking to get possession of that puck.
So Bodwin taking the draw against Jet Luchenko. Bulldogs get it off the draw. Danford, he's able to get that one out. Took a strange bounce off the glass, but that's going to be another icing call against the Bulldogs with 9 seconds remaining.
I don't think you're going to too many people leaving here early, no matter what the weather is, the way this one's going. And, pretty good crowd coming out here. TD Civic Center for this one.
Well, they call it the Madhouse on Market for a reason. This Brantford embracing this Bulldogs team. Face-off won by the Colts. Von Richter at the point, sends towards the nets, and it goes over the stick of Aitchison. Bucks in the corner, 2 seconds left. Wilmot waits, and then his pass doesn't connect with Hemming as the buzzer sounds. But what a game this has been this afternoon. These two teams just continue to go back and forth. And right now it is a 2-1 score in favor of the hometown Bulldogs.
The teams exchange power play goals in that second period, and pretty good finish in this second period for Barrie. Yeah, they had a couple of power plays, but you can kind of feel the momentum shift. I think Barrie kind of starting to take over a little bit there, and they finally get rewarded. They had several good chances, a couple of times early in that period where Crombie and Edmonton walked in alone, had chances in alone on Rangers, who's just been outstanding in the second period. A big reason why Brantford remains up.
It kind of felt like there was a change in the pace. That one player where it was Calvin Crombie had it on the far boards, but you had Eamon Edgar all alone in front of the net. It seemed as though that kind of sparked something for the Barrie Colts. They were getting some confidence that they could get the puck down the ice and get those odd man rushes against this Bulldogs team.
And again, it's, you hear it, Dylan Swoskas talk about, we got to play Barrie Colts hockey. And I know sometimes you chuckle about it, but it's that big physical up front. When Barrie's physical up front, they're posing for, defenses, and even a defense as talented as, Brantford's. When you got these guys kind of coming in and finishing checks every time, it takes its toll, and Barrie able to generate some momentum, through that.
So it's been an entertaining 40 minutes here from the TD Civic Center so far. The Bulldogs up 2-1, and all 3 goals in this hockey game so far coming on the man advantage. So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to go to the OHL news with Terry Doyle.
I'm Terry Doyle. Thanks for joining us on this week's edition of OHL News. Coming up on the show, we'll check in with what's happening with the Kitchener Rangers, a club right in the thick of things in the OHL Western Conference. That in a moment, but first, this week's Cogeco OHL Player of the Week is also the OHL's Rookie of the Week, Nikita Klepov of the Saginaw Spirit. He had 2 goals and 4 assists for 6 points in just 2 games last weekend. That also followed his performance at the Connor McDavid OHL Top Prospects game, where he picked up the Team West Player of the Game in that performance as well. When Klepov returned to the Spirit lineup last weekend, he helped them to a split in a pair of games, including a 4-point performance in a 6-1 win against the Erie Otters. The 17-year-old who hails from Florida is certainly very highly ranked for the 2026 National Hockey League entry draft. Meantime, the Kitchener Rangers right in the thick of things in the OHL Western Conference. They knocked off the Windsor Spitfires Wednesday night in overtime and came into this weekend's play atop the Midwest Division and 4 points out of top spot in the Western Conference. Sean Fafaro hosts the Rangers games on Rogers TV, and we caught up to chat about what's happening with the Rangers. Well, Sean, here we are getting into the latter part of January where they say the OHL season really gets serious. We've now been a couple weeks removed for the trade deadline. The Kitchener Rangers right in the thick of things in the OHL Western Conference. A battle there against the Windsor Spitfires on Wednesday night to start this week out. What has gone well, in your opinion, for the Rangers that has them in the mix in the Western Conference and looking to continue to be in the mix in the West in the OHL this year?
I think resilience is one big thing for the Kitchener Rangers. They don't find themselves out of any games. I think defensively, they're incredibly strong right now. Goaltending might not be, lights out, but anything's going to be a dip when you're going from a legendary season like Jackson Parsons had. You could potentially have the best goaltender in the year and it would still be a dip. But I think the moves they've made have really put them in a position to succeed going forward. Joe Birch once said to me in an interview that he truly believed that Mike McKenzie has never lost a trade in his life. And I can concur that this season, I don't believe he did. I think the elements that he brought in were pretty impressive, and more impressive than what he brought in was what he maintained hold of without having to part with. I was really concerned that there were some high-level names that we were going to have to part with in Kitchener to get some high-level talent, and we did give away a ton of draft picks, but draft picks aren't going to help you win this year if this is the goal. So I was impressed with who came in, and I was really impressed with who did not go out.
Obviously coming in is 2 faces from the London Knights, Sam O'Reilly and Jared Woolley, and I've got to think that just looks strange with all the battles between the Knights and the Rangers to see those 2 guys now wearing the Kitchener colors.
I was at the first morning skate after they joined the team, and to say it looked strange is an understatement, Terry. It was very odd. I talked to them briefly after practice. I talked to the guys, and a lot of the players were like, this is going to take some getting used to. And the very first night, so the next day, we made a judgment call on our broadcast to forego the opposing player interview and decided to interview both Jared and Sam in one in each intermission. And my first question to Jared in the first intermission was, I've got to know, you walk in a room when you have been rivals with a team for 3 years, and now they're your teammates. What's the first thing you even say in that situation? And he laughed and said, yeah, it's a little weird for all of us, but it was a lot of nice to meet you. How we doing? We're going to do great things here. So they were both very positive. And now a week and a half out, when you and I are talking, the adjustment period to me, visibly, I'm not in the room, of course, but it seems to be gone. They are full-fledged members of this team and part of this Rangers family, and that's pretty impressive to see.
Obviously, you've seen lots of those two guys playing on the other side, and Kean O'Reilly, a guy who we've seen not only can chip in offensively and contribute offensively, but that late game face off, that important play, and that the old 200-foot game, as the cliche goes. And I've got to think, it's one thing in January and February, but I'm sure as the Rangers are looking to play deep into April and May, that's where he's going to be a big factor.
Well, Sam O'Reilly does a lot of things right. And one of the things I do on my weekly television show here is I award my 3 stars of the weekend, and I gave Sam O'Reilly my first star of the weekend, and he only had 1 goal and 1 assist from an offensive standpoint, but I gave him my star because of the other things he did that you just mentioned. Defensively, he's incredibly strong. On the penalty kill, he's incredibly strong. You saw that when he played with Team Canada, but the face-offs are really what blew me away in his first few days with the Kitchener Rangers. On Friday night against Saginaw, he was, I believe, 19 for 23 on the faceoff circle. And the next game against Guelph, he was 11 for 20. So 30 for 43 over the weekend. And that's something that the Rangers have kind of been lacking on is consistent faceoff wins, right? You're hovering around 45 to 55%. But Sam O'Reilly, I think, is a game changer in all those things like you just mentioned, where late in a game, you need an individual moment that can change the course of the game. And I think he's capable of contributing to any of those moments.
Last week, of course, I was at the Connor McDavid OHL Top Prospects game in Peterborough, and one thing that jumped out right from the first practice is the structure UC Ahoka's put in place for that Western Conference team. An intense practice right off the bat, and that message that you're here to obviously impress, but you're also here to win a hockey game. And looking at just the way the intensity of his practice, you see that, of course, all the time. And that's a lot of the talk around the Rangers, that structure Ahokas brings to do things the right way, game in and game out.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of putting it. And I go to practice a couple times a week, and I see it, and I see the structure, and I see the systems, and I see how the coaching staff will stop if it's not what they want, and they'll start again. And they're like, you have to do the work. UC says that a lot. You have to do the work if you want the results. Do the work, and the results will come. And they preach trust the process. So whether that process is a 2 or 3 year process for a player, a 1 year process for a championship, or a 1 game process for the game that you just took part in, it's a process nonetheless. And the players trusting that process are things like Trent Swick trusting that process and going to an NHL signed player, right? He trusted what the coaching staff wanted of him. And now you're seeing all these things this year with the Rangers elevating themselves to, I believe, will eventually be the very top of the Western Conference. There's a goal in place. There's a plan to achieve it. There's no panic if it doesn't happen quickly, as long as you're playing your best hockey by the end of the season. And when you go into the playoffs, that's what you need.
That was Sean Fafaro from the Rogers TV OHL Rangers broadcast. Here's a look at this week's CHL Top 10 rankings, presented by Delta Hotels by Marriott. The Brantford Bulldogs are the number 1 OHL team across the country, as they are ranked number 3 this week, followed by the Ottawa 67s at number 8 and the Barrie Colts at 10. That's going to do it for our show this week. You have been listening to OHL News. I'm Terry Doyle. Thanks for joining us.
So it is the second intermission between the Barrie Colts and the Brantford Bulldogs. Been quite the exciting game so far between these two teams. So we're going to go to the chat in just a few moments. But before we get there, we're going to take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard as there's still several games taking place despite the weather being the way it is. But first off, in London, the Knights up 8-1 on the Peterborough Petes. They put up 5 goals in that second period. I know the Peterborough Petes dealing with some injuries and whatnot, but still, what a surprise, 8-1.
Yeah, it's still a good London Knights hockey team. And, right now they're playing some good hockey and you get a Pete's team that's shorthanded on the back end. But, that London team, they're going to be a handful for the face. They're going to face one of those good teams that first round. You look at the top 4, they might even be one of the top 4 teams.
Well, it looks like they'd play Sault Ste. Marie in the first round if the standings stay the same. Over in Niagara, the Ice Dogs are up 3-2 on the Brampton Steelheads. Brampton just continues to have their struggles. Up in Sault Ste. Marie, the Greyhounds up 3-1 on the North Bay Battalion. That's a team that's been red hot of late. Up in the nation's capital, the Ottawa 67s, they're up 1-0 on the Saginaw Spirit. And starting at 4 o'clock, it's the Sudbury Wolves visiting the Rouen-Noranda Huskies. And the other game tonight at 6 was supposed to be Oshawa and Kingston, but that game has been postponed due to the weather. Now, we did have the super chat from Laura saying, "Go Colts. There's still time to bring home a win." And for that comment, that's coffee money. That's going to be great. So we do have the super chat open. So if you want to contribute to the broadcast, feel free. As we're on the road for the games here for the Barrie Colts, and it's been an exciting run so far. And this may be one of the best games we've seen for Barrie on the road.
Yeah, I think it's living up to the hype. I mean, there's no doubt about that. We expected, I think, a close hockey game, and these two teams were pumped for it tonight. They brought it. I mean, never mind the weather outside. I mean, it's been heating up in here big time, and a lot of big time hits. I mean, this is about as physical game I think I've seen this year involving the Barrie Colts.
Yeah, it's been such a physical game. Even Mason Zabeski throwing his weight around. And when you look back at the trade deadline, obviously Kieran Walton was that big fish that everyone was talking about. But picking up Zabeski, picking up Wilmot von Richter, those are playoff players. And we're seeing that on full display this afternoon against this Brantford Bulldogs team.
Well, you heard from Marty Williamson that, both Von Richter and Zabeski were players that they had an eye on for a while, and they kind of targeted them. And then Wilmot, there's a lot of decisions. Look, Kieran Walton is going to bring a lot of scoring, 6'7", but Wilmot, I think, brings a more complete game. And, I think he fits the Colts style a bit better. He's fit right in nicely on that top line. He's produced offensively, and he's a guy that plays that 200-foot game. So he's fitting well. But Zabeski's a guy, he's still yet to get a goal here, but he's been so effective, and he can overlook that. You look at the stats and you go, okay, he's got some assists, but the best night in and night out. I mean, there's a guy that just goes in, finishes checks. He's punishing that line of him. Gardner and Crombie have been very good. We talked a lot about the top line with Wilmot coming in. Well, how about that second line? They've just been just as effective. And again, with Crombie and Zabeski banging in the corners and Gardner's vision and shot, it's a pretty good combo.
Yeah, it's been working out so far for the Barrie Colts, and we want to say thanks to Liam offering some coffee money. He puts that in quotation marks. It's Liam Coffee. So look at this. We're getting contributions. We're going to be able to get coffee now on the road.
Much, much appreciated. And, that's great. I mean, I might have to pour some over my feet on the way home. But,
you're still cold?
But no, we appreciate it. And, it's been great. It's been great coming out here on the road and giving Colts fans, the coverage. And we look forward to continue this and make this a tradition and down the road. And, we appreciate our sponsors and those who have helped out. But, why would you want to miss this kind of hockey in action? It's just, it's fun to do.
Yeah, and the Barrie Colts on the road next weekend as well. We're in the middle of a 4-game road trip. Flint and Saginaw next weekend. The Barrie Colts get to cross the border. That's going to be fascinating in on its own as Josh and I will be making the trek down there. But for this one, the Barrie Colts in quite the battle. And apparently Richard tried to say hi to Josh last night, but that didn't work out. I'm glad Josh McCann is behind us. He's monitoring the chat right now. But it's going to be tough because you are playing Brantford here tonight. You play it all on the line, and then now you got to prepare for Flint Friday. The Firebirds, of course, losing in Barrie. So that team, they're going to have a short memory and want to get back at the Barrie Colts.
Yeah, you look at the schedule, a little bit of a tough road, right? I mean, you come in and you face a Brantford team today, then you got to go out Michigan way, and even Saginaw. Don't overlook them. And I know there's some nights where they will give up a lot of goals. I think giving up goals has been an issue. But make no mistake, that's a team that can put the puck in the net.
Yeah, so it's going to be a fascinating weekend. And then, of course, they have another trip to Brampton after that. So 4 games away from the Sadwin Arena before they return to take on the North Bay Battalion, I do believe. But right now, the players on the ice getting ready for this one here at the TD Civic Center. And Rye Guy saying, hey, Mike, I was at the game last night. You're a great commentator. Both of you are. Thank you there, Rye Guy. And see, you're even being recognized. Gene?
Grateful for that. Thank you. But it's a pretty good team we've put together. We have fun bringing you the games. And, like I said, when it's action like this, I mean, you can't help but love to call this.
Well, it's a team effort with the 3 of us going out on the road. And I'm not sure what we're going to be going out to when we leave the arena, but it's going to be a fun drive going back, I'm sure. And I think for the Barrie Colts, too. I was talking to Dylan Smoskowitz, and he was saying if it takes us 6 hours to get home, so be it, as they were all ready to get this game underway here this afternoon.
Well, I think, being Josh, being the young guy, he's probably got the most energy. So if we need to clean up the car, we don't.
Well, we're using my wife's car coming down here, and she's got the windshield cover. I was so excited when I saw that in the trunk. It's being put to good use. But right now it is 2-1 for the Brantford Bulldogs. The Colts, they do have some work to do, and I think it does come down to, it starts with that disciplined play, as all 3 goals here this afternoon have come on the power play. So we'll see if the Colts can stay out of the box, because at 5-on-5, they've been toe-and-toe here with Brantford.
Yeah, just got to stay out of the box here and, hope that carry that bit of the momentum. I thought Barrie, in the latter stage of that second period, really started to pick up momentum, and a lot of that was the power plays, but we'll see if they can continue right off the hop here.
So the 2 sides ready to go. Face off at center. Cole Bodwin against Jet Luchenko. As we are ready to go. Face off won by the Colts. No, they didn't like it. They want to do it over again. There's just so much excitement. Now we got to wait. So we'll try this once more. Bodwin against Luchenko, part 2. Jesse Wilmot having a conversation with the 2 of them before dropping the puck. Maybe they're making plans.
Face-offs have turned into these long conversations.
Well, we got the play back underway. Kayshawn Aitchison has it at center. He's going to dump it in. Around the boards it goes. Bodwin after it. Luchenko behind the net. He'll skate this one forward for the Bulldogs. At center. Danford. There's a Colt player down on the ice. That's Emil Hemming. Not sure if there was a high stick, but play continues. Wilmot avoids the hit from Danford. They skate into the far boards. Sandu's going to go behind his own net. Zachary Sandu giving this one back to Ben Danford, as both teams are making changes. Here's Jake O'Brien. O'Brien sending this one deep. Goes behind the Colts net. Passmore's there. Gives it to Von Richter. Calvin Crombie. So he'll skate this one out. Sends it across to Zabeski. Zabeski trying to get a lane, but Juracek was in the way. Ends up behind the net. Crombie in front. No one there for the Colts. Puck goes to the corner, and Juracek will send it ahead to O'Brien, who gets it out. At center. Hands her to Passmore. Passmore on the wing. Passes up to Gardner. It's between his skates. Crombie fires. Stopped by Leanders. As the Colts look like they have an extra bounce in their step to start this 3rd period.
Well, a nice job there by Passmore. Get it down deep. And then Crombie, the nice behind-the-back pass. And you got to be aware where your teammates are out there. Excuse me, it's Gardner back to Crombie in that slot area. And then that quick shot. Leanders right there. But a great vision by Gardner. And I mean, these guys play together. You get to learn where each other are there. And a perfect example there with Gardner. Behind the back pass right to Crombie, and a good opportunity.
Face off to the left of Leanders. Gardner taking the draw here. Bulldogs come up with it. Protz sends it ahead. Crombie keeps it in, but then it's knocked out. Ends up back in the Barrie zone. Pass more to Hanser. Justin Hanser from his own blue line. Reaches center. He's going to dump this one in. Goes off the official. Protz collects it. Across to Juracek. At center. Dennis to Malhotra. Malhotra trying to get around Hanser. He's taken down. Play continues. Colts with it. Brad Gardner in the corner on the near side. Sends it behind the net to Hanser. Hanser being chased there by Paquette. Paquette couldn't get a stick on it. Crombie, he'll skate this one out for the Colts. Calvin Crombie reaching center ice. He'll dump this one in. Crombie takes a hit, but Paquette kind of got the worst of it as he crashes into the boards. 2 minutes now gone in the third period. Brantford has it deep in their own zone. Starting things off, that's Vladimir Dravetsky. He's going to carry this one out now for Brantford. Dravetsky ahead. Rosetto loses it. Schneid kicked it back into the Brantford zone. Dravetsky behind his own net. Ahead for Rosetto. Rosetto off the end boards. Schneid after it. Picked up by Newton. Schneid back to Newton. Jaden Newton has it in the near corner. That's picked off. Bulldogs get it out. Freeman. He'll send this one deep. Perevic behind the net. Sends this one around. It's on the top of the dasher. Rosetto trying to play it. Eliasson will tie him up. Schneid digs it free. Had his pocket picked there by Frasca. Near side angle. Angle waits. Spans on that one. And it goes behind the net. Eliasson along the boards. Kept in at the blue line. Schneid forces his way out. Dravetsky sends this one forward to Gabriel Frasca. That's deflected. Ends up in the far corner. Eliasson back to play it for the Colts. Both teams are right now making line changes. Gabriel Eliasson behind his own net. He's going to take his time. Leaves it there for Emil Hemming. Hemming skates this one up for the Colts. Reaches center. Flips this one to the near corner. Danford first one on it. Bodwin gets a stick on it. Can't hold on to it. Sandu's going to send it around. Von Richter on the half board. Sends this one down low. Gets it back. Von Richter, the goal scorer for the Colts, has it up top. Sends it to the corner for Wilmot. Wilmot going around the Brantford net. Ben Wilmot does a lap in the offensive end. Takes the shot. Leanders gets a pad on it. Hemming now collects it behind the net. Emil Hemming surrounded by black sweaters. Cole Bodwin trying to get a stick on it. Here's O'Brien. O'Brien sends this one across to Van Acker. Van Acker is going to get this one out. Picked up there by Von Richter. Parker Von Richter turns it over. 2-0 here for Brantford. It's O'Brien and Van Acker. O'Brien shot scores. Jake O'Brien puts that one over the glove. And the Brantford Bulldogs have regained the 2-goal lead.
That's a turnover and ends up in the back of the net. What a move by Jake O'Brien. The two of them walked in, but a big dipsy doodle, then roofs it upstairs over Ben Perevic. Barrie Colts trying to get something going and end up turnover. And that's the way it goes with the Brantford team. You give them any kind of advantages, especially Jake O'Brien. He's going to make you pay, and he does.
This is a Brantford Bulldogs team that's very opportunistic, and that's now 2 goals on the afternoon for Jake O'Brien. Now 16 goals on the season, so tough break there. Parker Von Richter was trying to just move it up. Ends up in a 2-0 for O'Brien and Van Acker. Face off to the left of Ryerson Leanders. Gardner is going to take the draw here against Malhotra. Face off won by the Bulldogs. Protz sends this one down the ice. Hands are inside his own blue line. Goes up to Crombie. Crombie will send it deep. Juracek back to play it for the Bulldogs. Gives that one to Protz. Along the boards, Paquette. That gets by him. Malhotra fans on it. That's going to get out to center ice. Picked up again by the Bulldogs. Paquette carrying it in now for Brantford. Paquette takes the shot. Stopped by Perevic. Puck goes to the corner. Passmore there to collect it. Goes back to Hanser. Justin Hanser. He'll put that one off the glass and down the ice. Juracek inside the blue line. He'll send it up to Malhotra. Caleb Malhotra. His pass blocked by Hanser. Hanser's going to come back around. Can't get it out. Paquette comes up with it. Down low. Here's Dennis. Across scores. Charlie Paquette. To Charlie Paquette with the finish as the Brantford Bulldogs suddenly with this surge of play. And they're now up 4-1.
Hey, this Dogs team, they can strike and strike off, and then Charlie Paquette gets it down low and then goes to the net. Dennis with the return. No chance for Revick trying to get across that crease. And just like that, 2 quick goals. Like 46 seconds apart, the Bulldogs in control.
Charlie Paquette, one of those big pickups at the deadline from the Guelph Storm. Slandra picks off the pass, takes the shot. Leaner's got a piece of it. Puck's on the far side, and then Schneid can't get a stick on it. So for Charlie Paquette, that's now 22 goals on the season. Brantford sends it deep into the Barrie zone. Eliasson there to play it. Up to Salandra. Can't get a stick on. Puck kept in at the point. There's a shot score. Looks from the point. And it's now 5-1 as the floodgates have opened up here for Brantford.
Everything going the Dogs' way right now, and that one just flipped at the net from the point. Oh, in a little more than a minute, 3 Brantford goals. 5-1, and the Colts came into this period just down by a goal, all sorts of momentum, but the Bulldogs 3-6 straight goals and in control.
So that looks like it should be Vladimir Dravetsky's goal. That's now 7. As Dravetsky was just flipping that towards the net, and somehow that beats Ben Horebic. Now it's an icing call against Brantford. So they're going to bring this face-off back into the Bulldogs' territory as we'll see how the Barrie Colts respond.
Well, now you're really going to have to change things up and really open them up. And Smoskowitz, after the end of this second period, made a bit of a change. You put Von Richter with Aitchison on a pairing, looking to get more offense, and you had that line out Brodwin, but Colts are really going to have to open things up here.
Brodwin goes back to Von Richter. There's Aitchison shot, rebound, puck's loose. They jam at it. Leanders is on top. The Colts are celebrating with the officials waving it off. It looked as though maybe Hemming got it to cross the line, but I think this is going to come down to when was the whistle blown?
Well, the Colts are celebrating. Brantford's looking, what's going on, right? Aitchison's going to take the one-time shot, and then Colts banging away in front of it, and Hemming, right, Mike, eventually gets that puck across the line, but the question is, did the whistle go before that?
Well, the referee was there at the side of the net. That was Hillary Brennan. It didn't look like she was about to blow the whistle. She just kept waving. Right now, Jay McKee, he's wanting things to continue, and Dylan Smoskowitz, he looks confused on the bench.
That's the question. I mean, it looked like the puck was still loose. I mean, Colts had a couple of bodies and they're jamming away at it.
Well, it looks like they're bringing the face-off outside the Brantford blue line. I don't even think they're going to take a look at this. So they are not reviewing it. So it remains 5-1 for the Brantford Bulldogs. Play continues. Smoskowitz, he looks frustrated there on the Barrie Colts bench. So we'll see if the Colts can do it again. Here's Emil Hemming. Has it on the wing. He'll hit the brakes. Hemming sending it down low to Wilmot. Wilmot sending this one around. Kayshawn Aitchison has it in the corner. Aitchison, he's tied up. Bulldogs will move it up. Jake O'Brien. Bodwin, though, sends it right back into the Brantford zone, and then players lying in the neutral zone. It looked like Wilmot and Van Acker collided. Play continues. It's deep in the Brantford zone. Bulldogs taking their time. Ben Danford leaving it there for Malhotra. Caleb Malhotra reaches center. He's going to dump it in. Back after it is Hanser. Hanser picks it up for the Colts. That's knocked down by Dennis. Malhotra in front. There's the shot. That goes wide of the net. That was Paquette who fired it. That pass blocked by Desiderio. Dennis sends this one down low. Around the boards it goes. Eamon Edgar comes up with it for the Colts. Gets it out to center. Desiderio dumps this one in. Dravetsky back to play it for Brantford. He'll pass this one over. That doesn't connect. Picking it up is Govro. Takes the shots, and Leanders with a glove save. And he'll hold on with 13:08 left to go in this third period. But this game turned around quickly as it was just 2-1 Brantford coming into this third period.
It's getting heated up. I mean, O'Brien and Bowden, that last shift, both going off, and they bumped into one another, both kind of glaring, had some words for each other, and what a turnaround of this hockey game. And again, that's this Brantford Bulldogs team. I mean, so many offensive weapons, and a turnover leads to that. And it's next thing you know, and a little bit more than a minute. 2-1 hockey game goes to 5-1, and the Bulldogs the comfortable lead.
It just goes to show how explosive this offense can be for the Brantford Bulldogs, and now the Colts. They're going to have to find that explosiveness themselves. If you remember back in October, they were in Niagara and down 5-1 in that hockey game and found a way to come back. So we'll see if they can come up with a game plan similar to what we saw against the Ice Dogs.
I mean, certainly some of that magic here tonight if they want to get back, but yes, I mean, they really played a pretty good hockey game through 40 minutes. Both Bulldogs goals have come, one with a 2-man advantage, another on the power play, and they were right in it, but just like that, a blink of an eye.
Bulldogs send this one back into the Barrie zone. Here's Parker Von Richter across to Aitchison. Up to Zabeski, overskates it. Gardner's going to get a touch on it, but they're going to call this offside against the Barrie Colts. And they'll bring this one outside the Brantford blue line.
Well, this really changes things. Again, Barrie, you're forced to kind of get away from that game plan and really open up things and just take chances. And for Brantford now, you can sit back a little bit and just look to work that clock as much as you can.
Colts win the faceoff. Aitchison puts it on net. Leanders right away. He's going to play it. Bulldogs send this one down the length of the ice. And that's going to be an icing call now against Brantford as Paquette tried to beat out that whistle, but instead they're going to bring this one back.
Yes. $50, $3,768 wouldn't be a bad take home.
That'd be all right. Make the drive home a little nicer. Bulldogs get this one out. Here's Paquette. He's got Dennis going to the net. Paquette backhand. Stopped by Hrebeck. Von Richter. He'll pick this one up for the Colts. Up to Aitchison. Deshaun Aitchison. Backhand pass to Hemming. Hemming has it inside the line. Aitchison sends it down the boards. Wilmot. He can't hold on to that one. Bulldogs pick it up. Owen Protz sends it ahead. Aitchison ties up Luchenko. Ends up on top of the Brantford forward. And then Wilmot pushing O'Brien on top of Aitchison. And this is going to generate some crowds as Aitchison and Protz are going toe-to-toe. Those two still have their gloves on, but Keyshawn Aitchison growing frustrated here with Owen Protz. Luchenko now just getting to his skates. But Keyshawn Aitchison really frustrated right now and having more words with Owen Protz.
Pretty good, tough customers right there. And Brian and Goldman, who were kind of chirping each other earlier, they're standing beside each other. They wondered what was going to lead to something, but now the fans getting into this one, a lot of hooting and hollering. And
well, this fan base has been it's been an exciting one, having Brantford added to the circuit for the Ontario Hockey League. They're a passionate bunch. And right now, loving what they see with this Brantford Bulldogs team. Right now, they've got 2 minutes on the board for both Protz and Aitchison, so it's going to be 4-on-4 hockey here.
even Bruiser's giving it to Aitchison, leaning over the penalty box.
It looks like Bruiser's throwing popcorn towards Aitchison. Oy vey. Face off won by the Bulldogs. They're going to come back in their own zone. So a lot of room on the ice for these two teams. Puck sails back into the Barrie zone. Emil Hemming back to collect it here for the Colts. Hemming behind the net. Going to set things up. 140 left to go in the 4-on-4. Hemming up to Beaudoin. Cole Beaudoin skates this one in. No, doesn't like what he sees, so he's going to peel back. Cole Emberton receives the pass. Minute and a half still remaining in the 4-on-4. Protz and Aitchison in the box. Emberton up to Beaudoin. Cole Beaudoin enters the zone, lost the handle of it. Wilmot will send it deep. Sandu takes the hit from Wilmot. Sandu tried to move this one ahead. Picked off there by Cole Emberton. Emberton in the high slot. Backhand to the net. Hemming stopped there by Leanders, or make that Beaudoin. And that's going to come all the way back. Interesting decision having three forwards out there on the 4-on-4. As Hemming will skate this one in for the Colts up the middle. Doesn't take the shot. Peels back in the corner. Hemming across. That's deflected. He's trying to set up Beaudoin. Cole Bodwin from the slot. Cuts to the middle, fans on the shot. He was dragged down there by Frasca. Play continues. 2-on-1 now for Brantford. Frasca and Van Acker. Cuts to the middle. His shot's blocked. Rebound. Another chance. Stopped by Rebick. As this Bulldogs team that offense, it turns around quickly, and they nearly got another one there on that 2-on-1.
Like I said, the 4-on-4, Barrie with 3 forwards, 1 defense. The Bulldogs with 2 forwards, 2 defense. Can you tell which team is trailing?
Right?
Looking to generate some offense, and Bowden actually had a good chance. He was hauled down in front of the net.
Face-off won by the Bulldogs. At the point, Juracek. He'll send that one deep. Malhotra goes after it, but it's taken there by Von Richter. Von Richter. That pass is deflected, ends up in the neutral zone, picked up by Edison Engel. Over to Juracek. 17 seconds left in the penalties to Aitchison and Protz. Cooper Dennis on the far side takes the shot. Nice glove save there by Horebic as he flashes the leather and look at a face-off in the Barrie zone.
Well, and, the Colts kind of crept within the Bulldogs and kept Ottawa in their sights. And it's one of those big 4-point games, but still lots of hockey remaining. The Colts took the first one here earlier this season, and Bulldogs in control here midway through this third.
And these two teams still have a pair of meetings back up in Barrie before the playoffs. It's been quite the battle between these two teams. Penalized players back on the ice. Puck's deep in the Brantford zone. It's in the skates of Von Richter. Von Richter back to Zabeski. Zabeski takes the shot. Blocked in front by Sandu. Aitchison to the net. Puck's loose. Sandu's going to take it around his own net. Zachary Sandu. He's got some space. He'll flip this one down the ice. Zabeski gets under it. Goes between his legs. Ends up in the corner. Zabeski playing it to Von Richter. Here's Kayshawn Aitchison. Aitchison sends it up. Picked up at center by Gardner. Goes across to Crombie. Calvin Crombie takes the shot. Stopped by Leanders. Puck's at the side of the net. Collected by Frasca. And then Crombie is hauled down by Juracek. And that's going to be a penalty against the defenseman. They're going to call this interference against Juracek.
Crombie did a good job driving the net all game, driving hard. And that time he gets hauled down. And Barrie was over to the power play. Desperate need of a goal here. You got to start that climb with the first one, and good opportunity here.
This Barrie Colts power play brought to you by Frontline Hockey Apparel. You can find them at frontlinehockeyapparel.com. The Colts already 1 for 3 on the power play this afternoon. And a face-off now to the right of Ryerson Leanders. Jet Luchenko is going to take the face-off against Cole Bodwin. These two have had quite the battle in the face-off dot. Scrambled draw ends up in the corner. Danford holding it along the boards. Gives that one up to Sandu. Zachary Sandu sends it up the middle and down the length of the ice. Horebic. We'll leave it there for Emerton. We're now past the midway point of the third period. Barrie right now down 5-1 to the Brantford Bulldogs. Here's Emil Hemming. Hemming through the neutral zone goes to Aitchison. Down low to Hemming. Emil Hemming. Sending this one back to Emerton. Can't keep that one in play, so the Colts have to regroup in the neutral zone. Knocked down by Salandra. Emerton gets it again. He's going to peel back. Cole Emerton reaches the blue line, drops it back to Bodwin. 1:16 left in the power play. Here's Hemming. Backhand pass to Aitchison. Aitchison back to Hemming. Drops it back to the point for Emerton. Emerton to Aitchison. Down low, Bodwin in front, trying to settle it down. Puck's loose. Bulldogs get to it and clear it out. 59 seconds left in this power play for Barrie. Parker Von Richter skates it out of his own zone. Drops this one back to Hemming. Emil Hemming through center, across to Bodwin, kicks this one ahead. Here's Crombie. Crombie down low, trying to go to Bodwin, sends it around the boards. Kayshawn Aitchison comes back to the point on the near side. Aitchison takes his time, looking to the net. Goes up to Hemming. 30 seconds left in the power play. Emil Hemming takes the shot, stopped by Leanders. Crombie can't get to the rebound, and the Bulldogs will get it out. 21 seconds still to work with on the penalty to Juracek. Von Richter across, finds Gardner. Gardner across to Crombie. Crombie's going to skate this one in. Calvin Crombie has it knocked off his tape by Protz. Crombie gets it in the corner. Back to the line, Von Richter. Takes the shot, deflected by Wilmot. That goes wide of the net. That's just missed that far post. Wilmot in front. That's blocked. And that's going to send to the point and not out as the power play has expired. So the Colts now 1 for 4 on the power play. Now breakaway for the Bulldogs. Dennis loses the handle of it. Cooper Dennis was all alone on Horebic, but couldn't get that shot to go. Colts after it. 7:10 left to go in the third period. Van Acker sends this one around. Mason Zabeski there to pick it up for the Colts. Zabeski loses the handle. Now it's Van Acker all alone. Shot stopped by Horebic. Rebound, and it's knocked away by Von Richter. At the blue line, Danford to Malhotra. Downloaded Dennis. Dennis with a shot. That's blocked by Zabeski. Ends up back at the point to Engel. Engel across to Dennis. Dennis takes the shot, blocked by Zabeski. Colts can't get it out. Here's Malhotra. Puts this one across. He's trying to find Dennis in the back door. Bulldogs putting on more pressure here. Dennis towards the net. He'll peel back. Brantford right now making a change. Dennis now at the half boards. Looks across. Sets up Engel. Engel back to Dennis. Dennis waits. Fires. Blocked by Zabeski again. It's at least 2 blocks by Zabeski, but now it's a penalty against the Barrie Colts. It's going to be a trip. And that's going to go against Calvin Crombie. As the Brantford Bulldogs, actually it's Ben Wilmot heading off, so Brantford going right back on the power play.
Well, the Colts running around to their own end a bit there, got caught. Bulldogs, all sorts of pressure, results in a Barrie penalty. And Bulldogs, the opportunity here to put the cherry on the top pretty much here with just 6:17 remaining.
Face off to the left of Ben Horebic. Newton taking the draw against Luchenko. Brantford already 2 for 3 on the power play this afternoon. Here's O'Brien on the near side, already 2 goals. Skates it down low, shot for Jake O'Brien. And that's going to be the hat trick for him, and it's now 6-1 for the Bulldogs.
What a huge game for Jake O'Brien. Great patience, and then just a great finish on that. Far side, just tucks it inside the far post. And wait. Sees some traffic in front. He's going to use it. Just the inside of that far side post. And Bulldogs really sealing the deal here.
And again, it's that power play that's just been lethal tonight for the Brantford Bulldogs. Now 3 for 4. And 2 of those goals coming from Jake O'Brien. Right now, Calvin Crombie having words with the Brantford Bulldogs bench. Right now, it looks like, trying to see, it looks like Van Acker having words there with Crombie. Either way, it's now 6-1 for the Brantford Bulldogs, as they've put up 4 goals here in this third period. Still 6 minutes left to go in this hockey game. Bulldogs get it out to center. Freeman can't get it too far. Schneid fires it on net. Landers will play it. Gives this one up to Gravetsky. Loose puck. After it is Salandra. Gretzky sends this one around. In the corner, Sandu. He'll play this one around. Gravetsky up ahead to Rosado. Rosado finds Freeman at center. He'll carry this one in. Takes the shots. And a glove save there by Horebic with 5:29 remaining.
You go back, it's a 2-1 hockey game and a turnover. Next thing you know, 3 goals in a minute. Pretty much well lights out. Credit to the Bulldogs here, a big third period. I mean, the Barrie Colts have been a very good hockey team in third periods. This is just before Christmas. With the Bulldogs putting a finishing touch on this one with convincing fashion.
And coming into this game, we talked about it, how this is kind of a statement game for both teams. As, 3 points separating them at the top of the Eastern Conference standings. Barrie, of course, on that 12-game point streak, so they felt like they had all the momentum, while Brantford kind of struggling a little bit of late with losses in overtime leading up to this one. But Brantford taking that to heart and really showing who's boss when it comes to the top of the conference.
No, I mean, no doubt both of these teams were up for this one. And, this Brantford team, you lose a couple of games, all of a sudden everybody's kind of, look, it's a long hockey season. And that's the Barrie Colts. That's how they have to look at this one. I mean, they're going to get a couple of cracks at Brantford before the regular season is over, back on home ice. But right now, they just got to learn what you can from this and move forward. I mean, Dylan Smoskowitz has, talked about day in and day out, just look at the task in hand and then worry about tomorrow. And the Barrie Colts will now have to, after this one's up, put this one aside.
There's a shot from the point, hits the crowd in front. Puck's deep in the Barrie zone. Govro collects it for the Colts, gets it out to center. Angle's going to send this one across to Dravetsky. Dravetsky to Rossetto. That doesn't connect. Von Richter ahead for Desiderio. Desiderio takes the shot, blocked there by Dravetsky. Puck's in the corner. Nicholas Desiderio moving it along, tied up there by Chamberlain. Bulldogs with possession, trying to get it out. Freeman in a battle there with Govro. Puck comes in front. Govro continuing to have a battle with Freeman as the puck comes up the ice. Dravetsky, he stood up there by Von Richter. In front, shot goes wide of the net. Great chance there for the Bulldogs in front. Nicholas Rossetto. Von Richter picks it up now for the Colts. He'll skate this one ahead. Parker Von Richter suddenly has a lane. He'll skate this one in, drops it to Govro. Govro shot, misses the net. Had some heat on that one. Puck's behind the Brantford net. Luke Govro after it. In front, Bodwin fires. That one's blocked. Emerton comes off the point. Battle along the boards. Bulldogs trying to send this one around. Angle dropping it back to Protz. Protz sends this one around. Aitchison's there for the Colts, but the puck bounced on him. Now Brantford will get it out. Here's Charlie Paquette. Paquette hits the brakes. Sends us back to the point for Protz. Over to Juracek, but that shot's blocked by Aitchison. Paquette takes the shot from the point. That goes off Frasca, parked in front of the net. Colts collect it. Ben Wilmot passes this one forward, goes behind Bodwin, sails back into the Brantford zone. 3:40 left to go in this third period. Bulldogs putting on more pressure here. Puck knocked away from Malhotra. Back at the Brantford blue line, Juracek backtracking. Both teams are making a change. Juracek takes his time, sends it to his defense partner, Owen Protz. Protz up the wing to Van Acker. He'll dump this one in. Aitchison back to play it for Barrie. Behind the net. Aitchison tied up there by Malhotra. Puck sent around. Gardner gets this one out to center. Danford up to Sandu. Slander tried to knock it away. Sandu gets it. Malhotra back to play it for Brantford. 3 minutes remaining here in this one. Puck's behind the net, up the middle, Zabeski, but he won't take the shot. He had Malhotra all over him. Now it's the Bulldogs getting it out. Luchenko has Gardner all over him. Luchenko still trying to play it. Battle along the far boards. It's going to get knocked out there by Zabeski. Over to the near side, Salandra. Joe Salandra runs into Sandu. Starting to see more hits here as the time's expiring. Brantford sends it up. Luchenko on the wing. That's poked off his stick. Chamberlain over to Sandu. Sandu skates this one in for the Bulldogs. Avoids the hit from Zabeski. Chamberlain gets it on the far side. He takes a hit from Eliason. Passmore now, trying to keep it away from Rossetto. Up to Newton. Jaden Newton to Salandra. They'll get this one out to the neutral zone. Angle on the near side. We'll send this one on goal. Hrebeck knocks it down. Eliason up ahead for Govro. Luke Govro has it lost in his skates. Newton follows it up. Schneid trying to get a stick on it. Schneid shot stop. Rebound. Leaders somehow keeps it out. Newton fires, and that one's blocked by Rossetto. Puck goes behind the net. Bulldogs with it. They'll get this one to the line and out. Chamberlain trying to get it past Von Richter. Freeman takes a hit there from Govro. Those two have had a battle here in the third period. Schneid over to Hanser. Down to a minute and a half left to go in this one. Bulldogs can't get it out. Puck ends up behind the Brantford net. Chamberlain holding it along the boards. Jaden Newton trying to move Chamberlain. Angle's there as well. Puck's loose, dug free by the defense. Angle hauled down there by Newton. Those two are in a wrestling match. Angle slow to get up right now for Brantford. He is in some pain. Puck comes up the ice. Dennis backhand goes over the net. Angle hunched over. He's in some rough shape. Colts with it. Von Richter drops it back. We're now in the final minute. Hanser in a battle there in front. Rosetta shot scores. Underneath that Paquette. It's now 7-1 for the Brantford Bulldogs.
Another turnover behind the net. The Bulldogs bury it. The Colts were riding high, 12 games. Points to come down here, excuse me. The Bulldogs, an impressive third period, just completely put this one away.
And the Bulldogs still upset about what happened behind the net between Jaden Newton and Angle, as Angle looked like he was holding his shoulder. But play continues. It's now 7-1 for the Brantford Bulldogs, down to 47 seconds left to go in this hockey game. As that's going to go down the length of the ice. Passmore's there to play it. No icing. 40 seconds now remaining. Desiderio up to Salandra. He can't control it. Freeman's going to dump it back in the zone. Nicholas Desiderio there to play it. Here's Salandra in the neutral zone, bracing for impact. He had Freeman coming at him. Puck goes to the far side for Juracek. Juracek keeps it away from Edgar. Puck's in the corner. Edgar throwing his weight around. Here's Salandra. Back to Eliasson. Takes the shots and leaders the save. He's going to toss to the corner. Taking time off the clock. 8 seconds remaining. Captain by Eliasson. Over to Passmore. That's blocked by Freeman. 4 seconds. They put this one down the ice. And that will do it. Now we get some rough stuff at the end. It's a 7-1 final, but some frustrations are taking over here. We got Eliasson throwing punches. He's tied up Owen Protz, and they're going at it in the corner. Eliasson and Protz. Protz is right now on top of the defenseman. Eliasson gets a hold on. It looks like a wrestling match down there in the corner. Eliasson right now on top of Protz. Passmore and Edgar are being sent to the tunnel. As frustrations here for the Barrie Colts, being embarrassed here, 7-1. But what an end to this one, as the Brantford Bulldogs celebrate the 7-1 victory.
Still heated out there. The officials trying to get Barrie and Brantford separated. Officials taking the Colts to the box for Revick. They're being sliding into the box.
Well, that's why they exit.
Head off the ice, and officials not taking any chances here. Barrie Colts taking on the chin today against the Brantford Bulldogs. And you got 3 goals in a little more than a minute. You open a 2-1 game, and that was it.
Well, this is the game that got away from the Barrie Colts in that third period. We saw a few turnovers and then the odd man rushes. And with this Brantford Bulldogs team, just that talent up front, you can't be giving them power play time, because the power play for Brantford, too, 3 for 4 tonight. So the man advantage shows why it's number 1 in the league, but then the offense, you can't just give them those odd man rushes and breakaway chances.
Now look at stuffing up, handling them, 5-on-5 as it is with all the talent they have, but seeing the opportunities for the man advantage. And again, I mean, this is a team that you really got to limit those turnovers, and a couple of big turnovers ended up in the back of your net. And, that's what happens with a team like Brantford. It's, look, I mean, you look to score 7-1, but at the end of the day, what does it mean? It means you don't lose any more points for losing 7-1, but you take it on the chops. And, maybe, after a huge run by the Barrie Colts here, they get brought down to earth by the Brantford Bulldogs, and they're going to still have a couple of cracks at them at least before the end of this regular season.
And with Brantford getting the win here this afternoon and Ottawa up on Saginaw, the Barrie Colts could be looking at a 5-point difference once again at the top of the Eastern Conference standings. This is a game where, the points got away from them. They were right there in this one. It was 2-1 after 2 periods. And you got to play the full 60 minutes. You can't just play the 40 minutes and expect the best from there.
Yeah, especially after I thought it was really a pretty good second period for Barrie. And, with those power plays late, it gained some momentum heading into the third, you thought. But, again, things could turn pretty quick for teams like Brantford. And that's what happened here. A 2-1 game, you're right in it. It's close checking, and then, boom, boom, boom. And it's 5-1. And really that was it. I mean, they tried to get that goal. It was called back twice as soon. But, coming back to Niagara is one thing, but coming back against Brantford, and credit to the Bulldogs, they didn't take the foot off the pedal.
And for Dylan Smoskowitz and the coaching staff, obviously this is now going to become a teaching moment. What can you take away from this game and put it forward as you get ready now for the Flint Firebirds Friday night and the Saginaw Spirit on Saturday to try and get back into the win column and regain some of that confidence and momentum that you had after these previous 12 games?
Yeah, Lucky Chops. Look, again, I mean, obviously there's all sorts of talk and all sorts of hype about these two top teams meeting, but at the end of the day, when you talk to little Smoskowitz, what's the focus? You focus on the task at hand now. What's the task at hand? And going in, have a good week of practice, like he talks about, and then the big weekend games in Michigan, and I think that's what you got to focus on. You kind of learn from this. I think what they have to learn is, against good teams, like Flint's another team that could put the puck in the net. You can't give them power play opportunities. You got to play disciplined hockey. That hasn't been a problem for Barrie much of late after the start of the season they had with that. But, again, Brantford's going to make you pay, penalties, turnovers. You really got to limit it against teams that could put the puck in the net.
So we'll take a look at the 3 stars presented by Craighurst Crossing by Georgian Communities. New homes, minutes from North Barrie, where inspired living meets small town charm. No surprise here. It's a clean sweep on the stars from the Brantford Bulldogs. Adam Juracek, your 3rd star, 3 assists. He was just all over the ice here this afternoon. Ryerson Leanders, he's named the 2nd star, making 31 saves on 32 shots. And then Jake O'Brien, the captain of the Brantford Bulldogs, he's your 1st star. 2 goals, 2 assists, a 4-point effort here from O'Brien. And it just goes to show, this is a deep and dangerous Brantford Bulldogs team. And those next 2 meetings up in Barrie between these 2 teams, that's going to be some pretty good hockey.
That's a pretty good 3-star selection. I think it's pretty much bang on. I mean, Juracek is just a force out there. Leanders, I mean, you look at it and it goes, goalie, the 2nd star in a 7-1 game. Yeah, it was that close. And he made some huge stops in that second period. A couple of great chances where Crombie and Edgar were in the lone early in the second. And, again, O'Brien, who was just a force. I mean, the old cliche, you want your best players to be your best players. And they were for Brantford tonight.
So the Brantford Bulldogs winning this one by a final score of 7-1. And now for the Barrie Colts, they still have 3 more games on the road, and we'll have all 3 of those games here on the channel. We'll have the broadcast from Flint at the Dort Financial Center in Flint, Michigan. And that's a Friday night game. Puck drop is at 7, so we'll get the live stream underway at 6:45. And also making the trek to the Dow Event Center in Saginaw on Saturday. So 2 games in the state of Michigan. They won when they were down in Erie, Pennsylvania, so we'll see if they can go for the trifecta when it comes to the American teams.
South of the border, and I'm sure Flint, after getting a loss here against Barrie a week ago, they'll be anxious to get back. And, again, that Saginaw team, don't overlook them because they got a lot of firepower, and they have troubles keeping the puck out of the net. But, 2 big games in Barrie where they've done well over the years, but it's certainly a different Flint team. And like I said, again, that Saginaw, a lot of firepower.
So that's going to be our next broadcast is Flint, Michigan on Friday when the Barrie Colts visit the Flint Firebirds. So for Gene Pereira and Josh McCann, I'm Mike Poirier saying so long. Thank you to everyone who participated in the chat. Also, thank you for the coffee fund that we have for the road trip. So we want to thank you very much for your support. As now we'll go and see what the weather's like outside.
Oh, jeez.
I'm sorry I reminded you.
It was going so well.
Yep. Reality is now setting in. But again, thank you very much for everyone tuning in tonight as it's a 7-1 final for the Brantford Bulldogs over the Barrie Colts here at the TD Civic Center.